Chapter 1284. Although Wang Li and the rest were furious, the difference in cultivation was too great. They were no match for the 9 honorables. Therefore the atmosphere was awkward. The experts from the major forces looked on with flickering eyes. No one dared to make a move, because this was a matter of the celestial martial auction. If the other party couldn't even handle such a small matter, there was no need for the old-time tea and longevity pills to be auctioned. Seeing that no one dared to step forward, Monk Blood became even more arrogant. Hurry up and tell that Lin Xian to come out. Tell him to give me 100 servings of old-time tea and longevity pills, and he'll let you go. You're courting death. The disciples of the Dragon Sword Pavilion were furious when they heard that. Some of them even wanted to rush forward. However, they were all stopped by Wang Li and Dongfang Xiong. Don't be rash. The other party is a peerless expert. If you rush forward, you'll only be courting death. You might even become a joke. Go and inform the 9th and 10th elders. The disciples nodded and quickly retreated. You want to leave? Where are you going? Stay here for me. Monk Blood sneered. He then stretched out a huge palm and grabbed in front of him. Suddenly, the terrifying palm was like a mountain, covering everyone. Wang Li and the rest changed their expressions. Many of them even felt numb. This aura was not something they could withstand. Just as they were about to be smashed into a bloody mist, a sword radiance flew out from the auction house. The sword radiance was like a rainbow. It flew out from the auction house quickly and slashed at the huge palm. Suddenly, the huge palm was cut in half like a piece of tofu. Ah! Monk Blood screamed and quickly retracted his hand. His eyes were filled with fear and viciousness. He did not expect someone to be able to cut his hand in half. However, this was not the end. After the sword radiance cut his hand, it flew towards him quickly. Damn it! Get lost! Monk Blood was furious. He waved his arm and 18 palm shadows flew out. They joined together and blasted forward quickly, trying to destroy the sword radiance. Poof! Poof! However, it was all in vain. The sword radiance was extremely sharp. It pierced through the 18 palm shadows and cut off Monk Blood's head. His head fell to the ground, and his eyes were filled with terror. Even until his death, he did not believe that someone could kill him with a single move. The surrounding crowd was also in an uproar. Wang Li and the other disciples of the Dragon Sword Pavilion were completely stupefied, while the experts of the major powers had grave expressions on their faces. That was a 9th heaven venerable tier, an existence that was as powerful as them. However, he had actually been killed by a single sword strike from someone else. This was really shocking. Who is it that possesses such terrifying strength? At that moment, everyone's eyes were on the auction. If you dare to behave atrociously at the auction, only death awaits you. An old voice rang out with a sharp aura, following which the void flickered, and a figure appeared before everyone. Sword Venerable. Seeing that figure, everyone was shocked because they realized that the figure was the Sword Sovereign, whose name shook the entire continent. No wonder this was the case. Most likely, only Ching Chung would be able to kill a 9th heaven venerable with a single sword strike. It was rumored that the Sword Venerable did not have much lifespan left. He only had 1 month left. But now, it seemed that the other party was full of vitality and didn't look like he was dying at all. It seemed that the rumor of the longevity pill was true. Everyone was excited. They realized that the longevity pill was really too miraculous. Among them, many elders who didn't have much lifespan left clenched their fists. This time, no matter what price they had to pay, they had to obtain the longevity pill. With the Sword Venerable's appearance, the others naturally didn't dare to act rashly. Even the 9th heaven venerables became cautious. Wang Li and the others gathered their men and quickly carried Shueshang's corpse away. They also cleared the path. Soon, the bloodstains on the ground were washed clean. Only a faint smell of blood remained in the air. Seeing that no one dared to act rashly, Wang Li and the others heaved a sigh of relief. At the same time, they straightened their backs. This was because no one dared to act presumptuously in front of the auction. Things went very smoothly. Lin Xian also nodded slightly regarding Shueshang's matter. Now there were some things that didn't require him to do at all to deter those who had bad intentions. It seemed that the effects of the longevity pill were better than expected. Brother Xian. Yu Fei walked over quickly. What's the matter? The Duan clan is here. Yu Fei's expression was a little heavy. Those people are really shameless. They chased after us previously, and now they dare to come out. How despicable. With our relationship, I don't think the other party will send anyone important. They must have sent some small fries to investigate the situation. Don't bother about them. Just break their legs and throw them out. Don't worry, Brother Xian. I know what to do. Yu Fei was excited at the thought of throwing the Duan clan out. You rascal. I haven't seen you for a few days, and you've become more impressive? In the VIP room, Morong Qingqing was wearing a long dress. She rolled her eyes at Lin Xian. It's fine if it's the others, but this Duan clan must be dealt with harshly. This is just the beginning. I will let them know the consequences of plotting against the Palace of Gods of War. Lin Xian's eyes flashed coldly, but it quickly disappeared. Here, I just brewed the immortal tea. Try it. Lin Xian poured a cup of spiritual tea and pushed it in front of Morong Qingqing. Although she didn't drink it, the fragrance of the tea filled the entire room. Just as Lin Xian and Morong Qingqing were drinking tea, another group of people appeared at the entrance of the auction house. It was a young man in his 20s named Duan Feng. He was also a young master of the Duan clan. However, compared to Duan Li, his status and strength were far inferior. Even so, he was still very arrogant. His entire nose was pointed to the sky. There were two old men behind him. Their auras were around the eighth firmament of the supremacy realm. Although Duan Feng was arrogant, he didn't dare to cause trouble openly. He just swaggered towards the auction house with his people. However, he was soon stopped. How dare you stop me? Are you courting death? Do you know who I am? Duan Feng's face darkened. This was because the moment he was stopped, he sensed countless gazes sweeping over him from all directions. Many of them had mocking expressions on their faces. That was because this auction house wasn't a place that anyone could enter casually. There were two prerequisites. Either one had a status or one had money. Those who were stopped were all people who wanted to take advantage of the situation. Everyone naturally despised such people. Now that Duan Feng was stopped, it attracted countless mocking gazes. Damn it, are you blind? Don't you know who I am? How dare you stop me? Duan Feng was furious. I'm a member of the Duan clan. You dog, how dare you stop me? Don't you want to live anymore? However, the Dragon Sword Pavilion disciple's attitude was unusually firm. The Duan clan isn't on our invitation list. You'd better leave quickly. Otherwise, don't blame us for being rude. What? Chapter 1285. You're courting death. You're really courting death. You're even threatening our Duan family? I'll teach you a lesson today, you ignorant fool. Duan Feng snorted and was about to attack. At that moment, a cold shout was heard. Stop. What's going on? How dare you cause trouble in front of the auction? Do you want your legs broken and thrown out? A young man could not do it. Brother Fei. The Dragon Sword Pavilion disciple shouted when he saw the young man. The young man was Yu Fei. He walked out when he heard the commotion outside. Duan Feng glanced at him and said coldly, You're the one in charge? Seeing Yu Fei nod, he continued. Who did you find? You don't even know our Duan family. How despicable. If you know what's good for you, get him to kneel down and apologize. I'll cripple one of his hands, and this matter will be over. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude today. Duan Feng was obviously here to cause trouble. After Yu Fei heard that, he said with a smile, Oh, I'm sorry. It's all my fault. It's our negligence. Hearing that, the surrounding people were stunned. Since when did Lin Xian become so polite? Weren't they sworn enemies? Even Duan Feng was puzzled, let alone the surrounding warriors. He knew the relationship between the two families. It was already good enough that the other party did not attack him directly after he provoked him. However, he did not expect the other party's attitude to be so good. At least you have some knowledge. Hurry up and get him to kneel down and apologize. Duan Feng's nose was in the air, looking very arrogant. However, Yu Fei ignored him. Instead, he turned around and took out a sign from his storage ring. Sorry, it's our negligence. I asked them to hang this sign up yesterday. Who knew that they would forget? However, it's not too late to hang it up now, Yu Fei said with a smile. Then, he hung the sign on the wall. Everyone was curious and looked over. Then they all burst out laughing, because there was a line of words written on it. Duan family and dogs are not allowed to enter. Seeing these words, the surrounding warriors were laughing so hard that they almost choked. Duan Feng took a look and almost fainted. The two elders behind him were also trembling with anger. This was humiliation. This was blatant humiliation. It was not a slap in the face, but a kick in the face. What kind of status did the Duan clan have? How dignified were they to be humiliated in such a manner? Thinking of this, the three of them trembled in anger. You dare to insult my Duan clan? You're dead meat. Duan Feng and the other two looked ferocious. However, Yu Fei stopped smiling and said coldly, break their legs and throw them out. You're courting death. How dare you touch me? Duan Feng went mad. However, Lin Xian had already made arrangements. So, as soon as he finished speaking, an expert came out and instantly broke the three people's legs. Then, they threw them out like dead dogs. Of course, this was just a small interlude. Everyone just laughed, and no one paid attention to it. The moment the auction house was fully seated, the doors of the auction house closed. Without any external light, the entire hall suddenly darkened, but soon it lit up again. Because on the ceiling, countless fist-sized pearls were flashing like stars. For a moment, the lighting in the hall was just right. Moreover, a ball of gentle light lit up on the auction stage in front of him. Then an old figure walked over quickly. It was the auctioneer, the 10th elder. He first greeted everyone to liven up the atmosphere, then went straight to the main topic. Ladies and gentlemen, there are two items in this auction. They are the old-time tea and the longevity elixir. Now let's begin the auction of the old-time tea. As he spoke, the 10th elder flipped his palm, and 30 emerald green leaves appeared on the auction stage. Each leaf was stored in a high-quality jade box. There were a total of 30 leaves neatly arranged. Ladies and gentlemen, these are 30 leaves of the old-time tea. There are 5 leaves in a group, and they will be auctioned 6 times. In other words, you only have 6 chances to get the precious old-time tea. As for when the next auction will be, I don't know. So please cherish this opportunity. As soon as he finished speaking, the entire hall boiled with excitement. They did not expect there to be so little old-time tea. There were only 30 leaves in total. It was not enough to drink. Originally, they wanted to use it as a regular spiritual tea to improve their health and prolong their aging. But now it seemed impossible. It seemed that it could only be used as a rare medicine to heal serious injuries. But no matter what, no one wanted to miss out on the old-time tea. The auction now began. The starting price was 1 million spiritual stones, and each increase must be no less than 100,000. 1 million spiritual stones was not a lot, but it was only the starting price. No one cared about it, because everyone knew that the final price was far more than that. Even if the starting price was 1 spiritual stone, these people would not be surprised. Sure enough, as soon as the 10th elder finished speaking, someone bid 10 million. In an instant, someone offered 10 times the starting price. But no one cared. The old-time tea was worth more than that. Sure enough, the following prices climbed steadily. 30 million, 50 million, 100 million. The price climbed rapidly, and the atmosphere of the auction gradually surged to a peak. 2 billion. A voice came from the VIP room. The bidder was Shun Lingchuan, who was in VIP room number 1. These big shots dealt with each other all year round, so when the voice came out, they all knew it was Shun Lingchuan. Shun Lingchuan's strength and status were extremely powerful, and the news of the old-time tea first came from the Shun family. So when he bid, everyone gave him face. In the end, the first old-time tea was sold for 2 billion. After getting 5 jade-like leaves, Shun Lingchuan breathed a sigh of relief. He was different from those people. He had directly felt the magical effects of the old-time tea, so he was naturally at ease with this old-time tea. Of course, the result was also very good. He got the first one. He did not participate in the following auction, but the powerhouses of the big forces began to fight. The second one was sold for 5 billion. The further it went, the more expensive it became. When the last group was sold, Even the 10th elder sucked in a breath of cold air. Because the final price reached 11 billion. This kind of final price was really too outrageous. One had to know that a half-Earth level treasure was about 1 billion. And these 5 leaves could buy 10 half-Earth level treasures. It had to be said that it was really too precious. When all the old-time teas were sold, the 10th elder did not continue. Instead, he let everyone rest for a while, and also left the auction stage. Next were some singing and dancing performances, and all kinds of spiritual tea, spiritual wine, and snacks began to be provided in the main hall. Everyone ate a little, and then rested for a while. Even though it had only been a short period of time, the price war seemed to have made them experience a huge battle. Chapter 1286. Even though it had only been a short period of time, the price war seemed to have made them experience a huge battle. However, they didn't dare to truly relax. Everyone was tensed up because they knew that the next auction was more important. Because there was something more precious than old-time tea. That was the longevity elixir. If old-time tea was a treasure that was collected by those big shots in case of emergency, then the longevity elixir was something that every martial artist longed for. Because it could prolong life. Not just 1 or 2 years, but 30 years. For those dying old people, 1 or 2 days was already a luxury, let alone 30 years. Therefore, they would do anything to get the longevity elixir. After half an hour, the 10th elder walked onto the stage again. Everyone's hearts were in their throats, because they knew that the second auction was about to begin. As expected, the 10th elder was as decisive as ever. He announced the second auction as soon as he stepped onto the stage. The second auction item is called the longevity elixir. I'm sure everyone has heard of its effects. That's right. It can increase one's lifespan by 30 years. Everyone knows that life, old age, sickness, and death is the law of nature. It is irreversible. However, the longevity elixir is so heaven-defying that it can take one's life and increase one's lifespan by 30 years. I'm sure I don't need to tell you how precious it is. Seeing everyone's heated gazes, the 10th elder smiled and said again, "There are a total of 4 longevity elixirs being auctioned this time." What? 4? Why are there only 4? Yeah, that's too little. Hearing the 10th elder's words, everyone was stunned. In their opinion, there should be at least 10 longevity elixirs. Who would have thought that there would only be 4 longevity elixirs? 4 longevity elixirs were too little. How many powerhouses and high-ranking officials were there? Adding them all up, it was a terrifying number. 4 longevity elixirs were not enough. Seeing the dissatisfaction of those people, the 10th elder took a deep breath. Of course, he knew that 4 longevity elixirs were very little. However, this was Lin Xian's idea. Lin Xian naturally had his reasons for doing so. The rarer something was, the more valuable it was. The longevity pills were precious to begin with. If such a treasure appeared in large quantities, it would give people the impression that it was worthless. Lin Xian wouldn't do that. He wouldn't let a large number of longevity pills appear in front of everyone. Therefore, he only took out 4 pills for the countless experts to fight over. Only the treasures that one had obtained after expending countless amounts of wealth would be cherished. It would also better reflect the value of the longevity pill. Therefore, even if the powerhouses below complained, Lin Xian's decision would not change. The 10th elder had received Lin Xian's reminder, so he took a deep breath and said loudly, "Now the first longevity pill will be auctioned. The starting price is 10 million, and each increment must be at least 1 million. Hearing the 10th elder's voice, the experts' faces turned ugly. However, they had no choice but to participate in the auction. At the very least, they had to obtain a longevity pill first. The rest could be discussed later. The longevity elixir was much more precious than the old-time tea. Therefore, the price of the longevity elixir skyrocketed from the very beginning. Soon it broke through the 1 billion mark. 5 billion, 8 billion, 10 billion. Last time, the last set of old-time tea was auctioned off for 11 billion. But now, the first longevity elixir had broken through that price. No wonder Lin Xian had set a threshold for the auction. At this auction, those with less than 10 billion should not even think about it. 15 billion. Xia Zhuangzhu of the deity sword Villa bid. 17 billion. This was the first elder of the Divine Bird Palace. Although they had a good relationship with the Duan family, Lin Xian did not do anything to them this time. Therefore, he could participate in the auction now. 18 billion. The Heavenly Fire sect was also a top 6th rank sect. The bidder was an old man with long hair and beard. His whole body was covered in flames, forming a flame robe that draped over his body. 20 billion. At this time, Shun Lingchuan from VIP Room 1 spoke again. Haha, this old man also wants to play. 23 billion. This time, the bidder was an old man. He had a head full of white hair, but his face was as delicate as a baby's. Although his eyes had seen the vicissitudes of life, they were very lively, like an old urchin. This was a powerhouse of the Merry Woods. You guy, aren't you practicing the heavenly immortality art? Why are you still here competing for the longevity elixir? The elder of the Morong family also spoke. 21 billion. Hearing this astronomical price, Wang Li and the other disciples of the Dragon Sword Pavilion were shocked. Even Lin Xian's eyelids were twitching. 20 billion, this was a huge amount of wealth. However, he also knew that the further one went, the weaker the effect of spirit stones. At least, some of the extinct treasures could not be bought with spirit stones. For example, if he did not take out the longevity elixir for auction, these people would not be able to buy it even if they had countless spirit stones. Morong Qingqing gritted her teeth. You guy, can't you give me a longevity elixir for free? Give it to you. What do you want it for? You're so young and beautiful. Lin Xian laughed. Humph. Morong Qingqing lightly snorted, then said, Of course I'm not using it for myself. It's not that I can't give it to the Morong family. Lin Xian tapped his finger on the table, then looked at Morong Qingqing and said, But don't you want to do something? Something? What do I want to do? Morong Qingqing tilted her head with a puzzled expression. For example, you can kiss me a little, or go warm the windows. Go to hell, you bastard, you're too despicable. Morong Qingqing's face immediately turned red. Lin Xian continued to laugh. What, are you shy? Since you're going to marry into my family sooner or later, why don't you do it now? I can give your family a few longevity elixirs. Hearing this, Morong Qingqing's face turned even redder. She scolded in a low voice. Go to hell, I hate you the most. Sigh, if that's the case, then it's really a pity. Lin Xian sighed heavily, but his eyes were full of smiles. Then he picked up the immortal tea, took a sip, and looked down once again. The bidding in the main hall became more and more intense. In the end, the first longevity elixir was bought by the Morong family at a price of 30 billion. Instantly, the other king families in rank 6 sects sighed. Among the king families, other than the Duan family, the rest were all present. However, not many people from the Palace of Gods of War came. Because of Lin Xian, they didn't need to bid. If there was a need, Lin Xian could provide it for free. As for the Immortal Martial Academy, Lin Xian also gave one to Dean Xian. Therefore, the main competitors were the Morong family, the Shun family, and the Merry Woods. As expected, the second longevity elixir was bought by the Merry Woods at a price of 40 billion. The third longevity elixir was bought by the Shun family at a price of 53 billion. Everyone, this is the last longevity elixir, and there won't be any more in the future. Chapter 1287. Everyone, this is the last longevity pill. There won't be any more longevity pills in the future. What? There won't be any more longevity pills in the future? Everyone exclaimed in shock. Many people even went crazy and kept fiddling with their hair. Previously, they couldn't bear to bid and wanted to wait until the next auction. Who would have thought that it would be a peerless longevity pill? The longevity pill would only be auctioned once and would not be auctioned again. Why is this happening? No way. Can't we buy it even if we have money in the future? The crowd went crazy. Seeing everyone's dissatisfaction, the 10th elder hurriedly explained, "Everyone, the longevity pill is heaven-defying. I'm sure everyone knows that it requires extremely precious herbs. To tell everyone the truth, these herbs are all extinct. The young master obtained some in the hidden sky secret realm. That's how the longevity pill came about. However, these pills are limited and have been around for a long time. Once used, there's no replacement. That's why the longevity pill is limited. The more you use, the less you have." Hearing this, everyone was disappointed. That's right, the longevity pill was a peerless longevity pill. Furthermore, the herbs used to make it could not be found in the Tianmu continent. Even if these people were anxious, there was nothing they could do. No, even if I have to risk my life, I have to get the last longevity pill. If we miss this chance, I'm afraid we won't have another chance in the future. The older generation went crazy and did not hesitate to take out all their wealth to exchange for a longevity pill. Soon, the price rose from 10 billion to 30 billion. It did not slow down and soon broke through the 500 mark. The third auction was 50 billion, but this time, the price did not stop there. Instead, it rose rapidly. 60 billion. Suddenly, a low voice came from the main hall. The voice was not loud, but it was unusually clear. Not only that, the older generation and the experts of the various large families trembled when they heard the voice. A look of shock appeared in their eyes. Everyone's expression changed when they heard the voice. Even the peerless experts of the large factions narrowed their eyes. That was because the power of the voice had surpassed that of a ninth heaven supremacy. Of course, he had not become a true king, but he was not someone these people could compete with. A half-step king. Everyone was shocked. They did not expect such a person to appear in the auction. Lin Xian also raised his eyebrows when he heard the situation. A half-step king was a terrifying existence. Even sword venerables peak. Who would have thought that he would appear now? Inside the palace, many people extended their souls to search for that half-step king. Humph! A cold snort caused everyone's mind to tremble. They hurriedly withdrew their soul power and didn't dare to casually probe. This was naturally a warning from that half-step king. As an existence that surpassed the supreme experts, he possessed supreme prestige. How could he allow others to casually probe him? Fortunately, the other party only gave them a warning and did not attack them. Otherwise, many of the people present would not have suffered heavy injuries to their souls. It was even possible for them to become idiots. It's clear that he's someone we haven't investigated before. On the martial heaven continent, kings and half-step kings were extremely powerful existences. So these people all knew about them. Even if there were some hidden kings who didn't come out all year round, these large powers still knew about them. But the person in front of them was not one of them. Although his origin was strange, his strength was a genuine half-step king's. That's why no one dared to raise the price. Of course, the king families were an exception. This was because their families also had half-step kings. Moreover, not only did they have half-step kings, but they also had supreme kings. They were the peak of the continent. Therefore, they did not fear that mysterious half-step king. 63 billion. Morong family's elder bid again. 65 billion. Shin family's elder bid. 68 billion. Mary Wood's elder bid. That mysterious half-step king snorted coldly. 75 billion. The sudden increase of almost 10 billion made those king family's elders suck in a breath of cold air. Although the longevity pellet was good, the price was too ridiculous. Moreover, it seemed like the other party was determined to get it. Even if they continued to bid, there would be no result. Therefore, the three king families stopped bidding. In the end, The fourth longevity pellet was won by the mysterious half-step king at the price of 75 billion. The items in this auction were all sold. Those king families who got the longevity pellet let out a sigh of relief. Those warriors who did not get it were extremely envious. In the VIP room, Lin Xian drank the last mouthful of old-time tea and stood up. It's my turn now. He did not plan this auction simply to sell items. He also wanted to rope in these powers. Therefore, at the last moment, he still needed to make an appearance. The hall was extremely lively. Everyone was about to leave when they saw another figure appear on the auction stage. Seeing that figure, everyone sat down again. They realized that it was Lin Xian. They knew Lin Xian's identity very well. Not only was he the owner of the auction, but he also provided old-time tea and the longevity pellet. Therefore, Lin Xian's appearance made these people very suspicious. At the same time, they also had unlimited hope. Is there a turning point? Some people were excited, especially those who did not get old-time tea and the longevity pellet. Young Master Lin, are you really not going to sell the longevity pellet in the future? If you're not selling the longevity pellet, then what about old-time tea? There should be more of that, right? A group of people asked one after another. The hall was very noisy. Lin Xian said loudly, "Everyone, please calm down. I'm here to talk to you about this." Hearing this, everyone quieted down. They all pricked up their ears and listened carefully. I have old-time tea and longevity pellet, but I really don't have a lot. What? You have both? Then why don't you auction them? Everyone was first shocked, then dissatisfied. Why should I auction them? Lin Xian asked calmly. Hearing this, everyone was stunned. They opened their mouths, but could not say the reason. Yes, why should he auction them? The longevity pellet belonged to him. He was free to do whatever he wanted. To tell you the truth, I still have some old-time tea. But I really don't have many longevity pellets left. All the longevity pellets I have can be counted on one hand. Chapter 1288. Young Master Lin, just say what you have in mind, an elder from the Heavenly Fire sect said. Hearing that, the others nodded. Indeed, if Lin Xian did not want to sell it to them, they could have just kept it to themselves. But now that he said it but did not want to auction it, it meant that there must be other ways to obtain it. As expected of someone from a large faction, he was smart. Lin Xian was secretly delighted and said again, there are indeed other ways to obtain it. From today onwards, I will establish a first-class hall. In the first-class hall, we will provide old-time tea. Hearing that, everyone's eyes lit up. Judging from his words, he should have a lot of old-time tea. How can we enter the first-class hall? Many people were tempted because long-term consumption of old-time tea could also slow down aging. Very simple. Become an ally of the Palace of Gods of War, and you can enter the first-class hall. My first-class hall not only has old-time tea, but also other rare spiritual wine and spiritual tea. I guarantee that they are all of the best quality, but they are all clearly priced. Lin Xian's meaning was obvious. If one wanted to buy old-time tea, they had to enter the first-class hall first. Otherwise, no matter how rich they were, they would not have the right to buy it. As for the meaning of being an ally, they all understood. Now Lin Xian and the Duan family were fighting fiercely, fighting for the leadership of the Palace of Gods of War. In the past, the Duan family was powerful and was about to take control of the Palace of Gods of War. But ever since Lin Xian appeared, he turned the situation around in an extremely short time. Now it seemed that Lin Xian was going to counterattack. If you want to join the first-class hall, you need to prove your allegiance. I'm sure all of you are aware of this. Lin Xian said slowly. Indeed, he would not let anyone who wanted to fish in troubled waters enter the first-class hall. Hearing that, the large families fell silent and stopped thinking about this matter. Lin Xian was not in a hurry. Instead, he smiled faintly. Of course, I will give everyone some time to consider this matter. I believe that after you drink old-time tea, you will know how to make a decision. Everyone's heart skipped a beat. It seemed that Lin Xian was very confident in old-time tea. However, they had only heard of the legend of old-time tea, and had never really tasted it. It seemed that he could only ask those who had taken photos of old-time tea later. Young Master Lin, where are the longevity pills? Does Class 1 Hall have it as well? Finally, someone asked the most important question. When these words came out, everyone was extremely shocked. Lin Xian explained, I'm sure everyone knows how precious the longevity pill is. To tell you the truth, I only have 5 left. Among these 5 pills, 3 of them extend one's lifespan by 30 years, and 2 of them extend one's lifespan by 50 years. What? 50 years? Many people's eyes turned red when they heard this. Who would have thought that Lin Xian actually had a pill that could increase one's lifespan by 50 years? Young Master Lin, if you have any conditions, just say it. Don't keep us in suspense. Some of the more impatient elders couldn't wait any longer. Kill 3 core elders of the Duan clan, get a longevity pill. Kill young Master Ling Feng, get a longevity pill. Kill Wu Zun, get a 50-year-old longevity pill. Kill the head of the Duan clan, get a 50-year-old longevity pill. Lin Xian's voice echoed throughout the hall. What? Hearing this, everyone was stunned. They didn't expect that Lin Xian's conditions were to assassinate the higher-ups of the Duan clan, and the head of the Duan clan. That was too shocking. After all, the Duan clan was extremely powerful, equivalent to a king clan. The head of the Duan clan was the deputy palace master of the Palace of Ares, and his son, Wu Zun, was a peak venerable. Young Master Ling Feng was also a representative of the younger generation of the mainland, but Lin Xian wanted to assassinate them. That was too crazy. There were a total of 5 longevity pills. First come, first served. If you were late, you would get nothing. Lin Xian reminded them again. Everyone's mouth twitched. To be honest, they were really hesitant. Although the longevity pill was good, the Duan clan was also extremely terrifying. Once the assassination failed, the Duan clan would definitely retaliate crazily. Thus, no one dared to make a decision. However, at this moment, the mysterious half-step king asked, Are you telling the truth? Of course. If you can bring their bodies back, the longevity pill is yours. Lin Xian said. No way. Is that mysterious half-step king going to attack the Duan clan? This is earth-shattering news. When the news of the longevity pill reached those hidden clans, someone might make a move again. Yeah, the Duan clan is in danger this time. This Lin Xian is too powerful. He actually used such methods to mobilize the heroes of the world. Everyone was shocked. In the following days, the news spread like a storm, instantly spreading throughout the entire Sky Martial continent. For a moment, everyone was talking about this matter. When the Duan clan found out about this, they were furious. Damn it, damn it. Young Master Ling Feng was so angry that he shouted like an angry lion, scaring the people around him into kneeling on the ground. They had never seen young Master Ling Feng so angry because in their memories, young Master Ling Feng had always been like an iceberg-killing god, controlling everything. However, the other party was now exposed. It could not be helped. It was because of Ling Xian's kill order. Speaking of which, they also had an assassin organization, and it was the top assassin organization in the blood field. However, compared to the other party, their assassin organization was incomparably weak, because the other party's reward was too terrifying. It was the longevity pill. It was a divine medicine that could be auctioned for 80 billion. It could even defy the heavens and take one's life. Everyone was tempted by such an item, although it was difficult for some large factions to make a decision in a short period of time. It was hard to guarantee that no one would not secretly make a move. For a moment, the entire Duan clan was facing a great enemy. Not only that, some of the Duan clan's resources, mines, and shops were all affected. Because they wanted to join the elite hall, they had to show proof of their loyalty. Since the Duan clan was on guard and could not kill, they could only take action from the resources. Therefore, within a day, the Duan clan's businesses were severely affected. On the other hand, Lin Xian's side of the Palace of Ares was rapidly expanding. This change was like a violent storm, swift and decisive. In a short period of time, the entire situation had undergone an earth-shattering reversal. Lin Xian looked at the news in his hand and nodded continuously. The effects of the old-time tea and the longevity pill were indeed amazing. Just the elite hall alone had attracted many sixth-rank sects to join. Among them were some sects that had previously relied on the Duan clan. However, they had now defected and joined them. The Wang clan had not joined yet, but their attitude had changed. Many of the sects that had cooperated with the Duan clan had now withdrawn. It would not be long before the Duan clan suffered another heavy blow. Chapter 1289. The King clans hadn't joined yet, but their attitudes had changed. Many of the clans that had worked with the Duan clan had withdrawn. It wouldn't be long before the Duan clan suffered another heavy blow. Lin Xian knew that the Duan clan would be able to take it during this period. He handed over the matters here to the ninth elder and the rest, while he returned to the Immortal Martial Academy. Firstly, he wanted to give Shen Jingqiu more than one illusory array to get rid of her inner demons. Secondly, he wanted to forge the Red Lotus armor. In the remote sky secret realm, he had obtained many natural treasures. Other than precious spiritual herbs, he had also obtained many materials for forging weapons. Now he had enough materials to forge an armor. Therefore, he wanted to forge it. This way, even if the Duan clan retaliated, he would have the ability to protect himself. 3 days later, Lin Xian brought Shen Jingqiu back to the Immortal Martial Academy. He didn't return to the freshman area. Instead, he asked Dean Xian to find a safe and secluded place for him. Soon he found a mountain peak. It was located in the core area of the academy and was very safe. Moreover, the spiritual energy was abundant, and the environment was friendly. It was very suitable for cultivation. After settling down, Lin Xian started to set up the formation. His attainments in formations were terrifying. Even the formation masters of the King clans might not be able to compare to him. Therefore, setting up an illusory array was nothing to him. However, in order to achieve the best effect, Lin Xian spent 120% of his effort and a day to set up an illusory array. Qiuwa, it's up to you now. Believe in yourself. You can do it. Shen Jingqiu nodded heavily. Don't worry, brother Lin Xian. I can do it. The little girl was also very serious. She knew that this was very important to her. After taking a deep breath, Shen Jingqiu quickly walked into the illusory array. Originally, Lin Xian wanted to stay here for 2 days to check on Shen Jingqiu's condition. If there was no danger, he would forge the Red Lotus armor. However, the situation changed after a day, because the dark red dragon flew out of the demonic beast's bag. Kid, am awake. Lin Xian, on the other hand, had a look of surprise on his face. Could it be that your recovery failed? How could I possibly fail? Am I that weak? That's not right. If you succeed, shouldn't you be shouting in the sky? Why are you so honest now? You didn't even celebrate your breakthrough? Bah! Am I so shallow that I have to make a fuss just because I've recovered my strength? The dark red dragon god blushed, but fortunately, his entire body was red, so there was no awkwardness at all. Kid, you've followed me for so long, but you don't understand me at all. You've only recovered to the 9th heavenly layer. What's there to be happy about? Although it was humble and said that it was unhappy, its tail was already wagging. Lin Xian rolled his eyes. Alright, well, celebrate when you return to the challenger level. I have a task for you. Help me look after the illusion array. Where are you going? The dark red dragon god asked. Then he glanced at the array in front of him and exclaimed, Io, this array is engraved well. Kid, you've improved. Lin Xian was a little proud of himself. Then he said, I'm going to refine the Red Lotus armor. The person inside is my friend. Look after her. Don't let anything happen to her. After giving his instructions, Lin Xian left. The dark red dragon god looked inside and saw a hazy figure. It's a little beauty. This kid is good. He's quite fast. He actually found another beauty. How shameful, how depraved. The dark red dragon god muttered. Then he brought out the little white monkey. The two of them hugged spiritual fruits and spiritual wine together and ate heartily. On the other side, Lin Xian was in seclusion to refine the Red Lotus armor. With a wave of his hand, the 1,000-beast cauldron appeared. At the same time, countless materials floated in the air. These materials were very precious. Each of them could make the experts of the Tianwu continent go crazy. Many of them were even materials to refine earth-rank treasures. Fortunately, Lin Xian had the blueprint. Moreover, his soul power was strong. That was why he could inscribe the inscriptions on the blueprint bit by bit. Otherwise, he would not be able to refine the armor. While Lin Xian was refining the armor, the outside world was not peaceful. Under the huge temptation of the longevity pill, someone finally made a move. The star mineral vein. There was a huge mineral vein here. Inside it was the precious metal star steel. This mineral vein was the property of the Duan family. The star pills dug out here could be used to make weapons and armor. It could be said that it was very important. Moreover, it was a special situation. Therefore, the defense here was even tighter than before. Not only that, there was a core elder of the Duan family overseeing it. This elder was a Ninth Heaven Honorable Realm expert. He was not an early Ninth Heaven Honorable Realm expert. Instead, he was a Ninth Heaven Honorable Realm expert. His strength was equivalent to the Ninth Elder. With such a powerful person overseeing it, the Duan family was very assured. The night was slightly cold. The entire mineral vein did not stop working. Sonorous knocking sounds could be heard. Some key places were even heavily guarded by patrolling guards. However, in the dark night, a few figures floated over quickly like ghosts. These 5 people were very fast and did not reveal any auras. Therefore, even though the patrolling guards were very vigilant, they did not notice them. These 5 people were of all shapes and sizes. One of them was a fatty. When he passed by a group of guards, he sneered and a ball of dark green mist surged out of his palm. Next, the green mist waved and instantly enveloped a group of 10 people. Woo-woo. Immediately, those cultivators did not even have time to scream before their bodies turned into a pool of pus. The 5 of them did not stop. Wherever they passed, the groups they encountered all disappeared silently. Soon they arrived in front of a palace. The 5 of them looked at each other, took out their knives, forks, and sticks, and quickly rushed forward. Boom! The auras of the 5 people erupted. It was very terrifying. They joined together and cooperated with the terrifying attacks. They quickly blasted forward. Immediately, the majestic palace collapsed with a bang. Huge rocks flew everywhere, and the ground sank. Everything within a radius of 10 miles collapsed. Some of the nearby cultivators did not have time to escape at all, and turned into a bloody mist in the attack. In an instant, the entire mine sounded an alarm. Countless cultivators and guards gathered here. In the ruins in front of them, there was also an angry shout. "You're courting death." This voice was like thunder. It exploded with a bang, forming a violent air blade that blew away all the surrounding ruins. An old figure stood on the ground. The old man was dressed in a dark green robe that was incomparably resplendent. However, at this moment his face was abnormally cold. A terrifying gaze burst out from his ancient eyes. It was like a fiend god's spear that pierced through the void. "How dare you cause trouble in the Duan family's mine? You're courting death." Chapter 1290. In the distance, there were countless martial artists rushing over in a frenzy, surrounding the area so tightly that not even a drop of water could trickle through. The 5 black-clothed men sneered, and one of them, a tall man, shouted coldly and attacked. Immediately, the 5 of them attacked the core elder in front of them. The great battle erupted, and it was abnormally intense. The core elder of the Duan family was full of confidence. But very soon he let out a cry of surprise. "You guys are actually all 9th level supremacies." He was simply too shocked to think that the 5 people who killed him were actually all 9th level supremacies. Although they were only at the initial 9th level, their strength was still very terrifying. Under normal circumstances, a mid-stage 9th level martial artist could contend against 3 initial stage supremacies, at most 4. If there were 5, they could not contend at all, and could only retreat. Now the Duan family's elder was facing such a situation. "Old man, today is the day you die." The 5 of them roared, erupting with energy that could tear heaven and earth. After a great battle, the Duan family's core elder fought with all his strength, but he still could not escape and finally lost his life here. Seeing the strongest core elder being killed, the surrounding martial artists were all scared out of their wits and fled one after another. Similar things were happening in many places of the Duan family. Of course, some succeeded, and some failed. But no matter what, the Duan family suffered heavy losses, and even a few core elders were killed. For a time, it set off a huge uproar in the entire Tianwu continent. The Duan family was incomparably furious, and fought back with all their might. But there were too many assassins, and they were very scattered, so the effect they achieved was minimal. In the end, The Duan family had no choice but to recall all the important elders and martial artists. However, they did not sit still and wait for death, but quickly sought an alliance, preparing to counterattack again. For a time, there were also many forces that joined. In a blink of an eye, a month passed, and the situation in Tianwu continent became more and more tense, while Lin Xian's side was rather quiet. With the help of the illusory array, Shen Jingqiu finally overcame her heart demon and awakened the power of bloodline again. And on Lin Xian's side, he also successfully refined an armor. That armor was bright red all over, emitting light, and engraved on it was very complicated and profound. Lin Xian tested it out and found that this armor alone could block 70% of the attacks. In other words, if a ninth heaven venerate attacked him, the armor would be able to block 70% of the attack. As for the remaining 30%, he could rely on his powerful body and defense to block it. It had to be said that this was a good way to save one's life. After coming out of seclusion, Lin Xian called Yu Fei over and asked about the situation outside. After learning about Chang Kuang of the Duan clan, he nodded in satisfaction. Not bad. In a month's time, a few core elders of the Duan clan were killed. However, these people were killed by different forces. Therefore, no one had been able to gather the heads of 3 core elders, and no one had been able to exchange them for the longevity pill. However, Lin Xian was in no hurry. It had only been a month. As time passed, someone would definitely succeed in a sneak attack. Where's the 9th elder? Lin Xian asked. 9th elder returned to War God Palace. I heard that he had something important to do. Yu Fei said. Return to the Palace of Ares? Forget it. Let me know when he comes back. Also, continue to monitor the Duan clan's actions. If there's anything unusual, report to me immediately. After arranging the following matters, Lin Xian accompanied Shen Jingqiu to cultivate in the Immortal Martial Academy. Shen Jingqiu had recovered her bloodline power, and her cultivation had also increased rapidly. Now she had already reached the 4th heaven venerate realm. Lin Xian felt that the outside world was too chaotic, so he decided to let Shen Jingqiu cultivate in the Immortal Martial Academy. Anyway, it was very safe here, and the outside world couldn't attack. Moreover, there were many people of the same age here, and they could interact with each other. Shen Jingqiu happily agreed to this suggestion. In the next few days, Lin Xian continued to cultivate. Of course, the most important thing was still to cultivate Firmament 9 and Void Shattering Finger. Now he could already form 2 Void Shattering Finger, and he could use 3 types of seals with Firmament Transformation. Not only that, but his cultivation had also been increasing. Now he was about to reach the peak of the Venerable Realm. Lin Xian's side was going smoothly, but the Duan clan didn't have it easy. They were completely targeted, and now, they didn't even dare to leave their house. Facing this situation, the Duan clan's patriarch and martial venerable could still keep calm and cultivate silently. However, young Master Ling Feng couldn't tolerate it at all. He was young and arrogant, and didn't put anyone in his eyes. But now, he was suppressed by a 7th heaven venerate realm brat, to the point that he couldn't leave his house. This was a great humiliation to him. Therefore, he decided to retaliate fiercely. Where is that brat now? Young Master Ling Feng asked. Young Master, that brat is now in the Immortal Martial Academy. We can't enter at all. Damn that brat, he hid very well. But does he think he's safe now? Young Master Ling Feng's expression was cold. How many people can we mobilize? Our Duan clan's people are completely targeted, especially those core elders. I'm afraid that they will be assassinated the moment they leave. Moreover, Lin Xian's side is definitely watching us, so we can't mobilize the forces of our Duan clan. The subordinate said. In that case, only the subordinate clans in Skynet are left. Inform the assassins of the 8 great clans in Skynet to gather. Tell them that there's a mission for them. Young Master Ling Feng said in a deep voice. Yes. The subordinate's expression turned cold. Young Master Ling Feng said in a deep voice. Since that brat is hiding in Tianwu Academy, we'll lure him out. Young Master, you mean? It's simple. Arrange 3 fake assassinations, and spread the news that 3 of our core elders have been killed. After that, arrange for our men to bring the fake heads to exchange for longevity pills. Young master, could it be that you want the longevity pills? But the other party will definitely check it. Fool! I don't want the longevity pills. Can't you think of a way to lure that brat out and check the goods somewhere else? When he falls into our trap, his life and death will be up to me. Young master is wise. If that brat really falls into our trap, he's definitely dead. Remember, send more 9th Heaven Venerate Realm experts. The 8th Heaven Venerate Realm experts must be the elites. It's best if they can use combination formations. This time we must succeed. Yes. The subordinate replied and left quickly. Seeing his subordinate leave, a cruel smile appeared on young master Ling Feng's face. No one can make me suffer. Lin Xian, you're the first. However, you'll have to pay a painful price for it. Following which, young master Ling Feng's plan began to unfold. Soon, the news of the assassination of the core elders of the Duan clan spread. There were even many cultivators who witnessed it. Chapter 1291. Following that, young master Ling Feng's plan quickly unfolded. Soon, the news of the Duan clan's core elder being assassinated spread. Many cultivators even saw it with their own eyes. For a time, all sorts of rumors spread. Not long after, another 2 core elders of the Shen clan were killed. Following that was the third. What? Another 3 core elders were killed? Is the Duan clan crazy? Why did they let their core elders come out? Many people were shocked, and many others were suspicious. This is normal. Many of the Duan clan's businesses have been severely affected. Their resources have probably decreased by a lot. If they continue to hide, their resources will probably be cut off. That's why those people took the risk to come out. That makes sense. However, the other party is too powerful. They actually managed to kill the Duan clan's core elders. I wonder if they are from the same faction. That's right. If they are from the same faction, then they can exchange for longevity pills. Immediately, everyone became excited. Countless people continued to keep an eye on the Shen clan. Even more people went to Elite Hall to check if there were any longevity pills being exchanged. At this moment, an ordinary-looking gray-clothed man walked into Elite Hall. That gray-clothed, middle-aged man kept a low profile. Furthermore, he looked ordinary. He also suppressed his aura very low. Hence, no one noticed him in the crowd. Elite Hall's manager did not notice him either. However, after the other party said something, they took him seriously. This is not the place to talk. Follow me to the back. Soon the gray-clothed, middle-aged man was brought to a living room at the back. Is what you said true? The Elite Hall's manager asked. Of course. How can I lie about something like this? The gray-clothed man said. The Elite Hall's manager said. Even so, we still have to inspect the goods in advance. I'm just a messenger. The goods are not with me. Of course you can inspect the goods, but you can't do it here. The gray-clothed man said. After all, killing the Duan clan's core elders is a big deal. Furthermore, it's 3 of them. If this news spreads, the Duan clan will definitely fight to the death with us. At that time, we might get killed before we even step out of this door. Hearing that, the Elite Hall's manager frowned. What do you want? We can deliver the goods, but we have to go somewhere else. Where? Nanshan City. The elite hall executive officer thought for a moment before saying, I cannot make the decision on this matter. I can only send this news up. As for the outcome, I do not know. It's fine. I can wait here. 3 days. I hope I can get the information I want in 3 days. The gray-robed middle-aged man's expression was calm. Sure. Class 1 hall will arrange a place for you. After that, the deacon pushed open the door and ordered someone to prepare the room, while he quickly reported the matter. Soon Lin Xian received the news. Lin Xian frowned. Are you saying that someone killed 3 of the Duan family's core elders and went there to exchange for longevity pills? However, they weren't willing to do the exchange at Class 1 hall and wanted to go somewhere else? The other party did say that. Older brother Xian, I feel that there's something fishy about this matter. Should we reject the other party? Yu Fei asked. Where did they choose to trade? Nanshan City. Have you explored that place? I have, but I didn't find anything unusual. Furthermore, Nanshan City isn't a force under the Duan family, and it's not too far away from Windy City. Then what kind of strength did the other party have? Did you find out? No, we didn't reveal any signs, and we couldn't find out either. Yu Fei said. Older brother Xian, I didn't do my job well. It's fine. Lin Xian thought for a moment then asked, what do you think? The other party is too strange. I'm worried that this is a trap. Furthermore, the 9th and 10th elders aren't here. We don't have any reliable experts. After all, the longevity pill is too tempting. If we use experts from other forces, something might happen. Yu Fei spoke of his worries. Indeed, the longevity pill was a heaven-defying divine medicine. Whether it was consumed or sold, it would be sold at a sky-high price. Therefore, only very reliable people could use it to exchange. Looks like I can only go myself. Lin Xian sighed. No. Older brother Xian, it's too dangerous. If it's a trap of the Duan family, the consequences will be very serious. Yu Fei quickly dissuaded. Actually, I also think it's a trap, but I still want to take a look. Lin Xian smiled. I've just refined something good recently. It's a good time to try it out. And don't worry, even if the other party has a half-step king, I'm confident that I can safely retreat. Really? Yu Fei was shocked. Could he escape unscathed in the face of a half-step king? Lin Xian smiled mysteriously. Tell that person that I will go. Yes. Seeing Lin Xian's confident smile, Yu Fei didn't try to dissuade him. After he left, Lin Xian also stopped smiling, and his expression became serious. Duan family, let me see what kind of tricks you can come up with. The dark red dragon said, Kid, don't worry. With me here, you can definitely leave safely. The profound jade platform I refined this time can teleport you 200 miles. As long as it's not a king, there won't be any problems. That's good. Lin Xian was full of confidence. Next, Lin Xian made some preparations and set off. This time, he didn't bring anyone but the dark red dragon and the snow-white monkey. He wasn't worried. Firstly, he had just refined the red lotus battle armor, which could block 70% of the damage, greatly increasing his safety. Secondly, he had also made breakthroughs in his 2 Earth-class cultivation techniques, greatly increasing his strength. Moreover, he had the dark red dragon as a helper. If he really couldn't win, he still had the dark red dragon's profound jade platform, which could directly teleport him away. It could be said that it was very safe. Therefore, he dared to go alone. In the elite hall, the gray-clothed middle-aged man also revealed a smile when he heard the news. However, his smile was somewhat sinister. He knew that the fish had taken the bait, and the next step was to reel in the net. The gray-clothed man waited patiently in the elite hall. 3 days later, Lin Xian arrived. Greetings, young master Lin Xian. The gray-clothed man slightly bowed to Lin Xian. Lin Xian nodded. I don't have much time. Let's hurry. All right, young master Lin, follow me. The gray-clothed man didn't delay, and quickly soared into the sky. Lin Xian's figure flashed and followed behind. They didn't speak along the way. After about 4 hours, the gray-clothed man in front suddenly said, Young Master Lin, Nanshan City is in front. After saying that, He lowered his body and landed in a city below. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes and glanced below. The corner of his mouth curled up, and then he followed. Swoosh swoosh. The two of them landed on the street. When they arrived in the city, the gray-clothed man's footsteps were obviously much faster. Soon he arrived in front of a mansion. The red door was 3 meters wide and 5 meters tall. It was very majestic. There were 2 lifelike statues of strange beasts in front of the door. "Young Master Lin, this is the place. Please come in," the gray-clothed man said. "In." Lin Xian nodded without any expression on his face. Seeing that, the gray-clothed man didn't say anything and quickly led the way. When the two of them entered the mansion, the gray-clothed man in front was completely relieved. It's settled. As long as they come in, they won't be able to escape. They had set up several formations in this mansion. Some were for defense, some were for sealing, and some were for concealing auras. Chapter 1292. Soon, the gray-robed man brought Lin Xian into a living room. Lin Xian's expression was calm as he sat down in an imposing manner. Soon, a beautiful maidservant brought over some spirit tea. The gray-robed man left after bringing Lin Xian in. At this moment, only Lin Xian and the 2 maids were left in the living room. The 2 maids were making tea very seriously. "Young Master Lin, please wait a moment. My master will be here soon." The 2 beautiful maids poured the spirit tea and stood respectfully at the side. Lin Xian nodded. Then, he leaned back in his chair and narrowed his eyes. To outsiders, he seemed to be resting with his eyes closed. But in fact, he was communicating with the dark red divine dragon. "How is it? What did you find out?" Lin Xian asked. "There are at least 3 types of spirit arrays here. Moreover, these people look ordinary, but they have all concealed their strength. This is indeed not a good place," the dark red divine dragon said. "It is indeed a trap. Along the way, I have also sensed many powerful auras hidden in this villa. Even the surrounding security is very tight. I am afraid it will not be easy to enter and leave." Lin Xian snorted coldly, but he did not care. He wanted to see what these people could do. Not long after he communicated with the dark red divine dragon, the door opened. Then 2 figures walked in. The person in front was an old man. His hair was gray, but his vitality was abnormally strong. He was like a furnace. He walked with a majestic gait. His movements were dignified. From the aura he emitted, Lin Xian could confirm that he was a 9th heaven supremacy. Behind him, there was a handsome young man, who also had the aura of a peak 8th heaven supremacy. Behind them, there were 8 black-robed men. They had cold expressions and carried swords on their backs. The 8 black-robed martial artists followed into the living room and stood at the side. If one paid attention, they would realize that these people had sealed all the doors and windows of the room. It seemed that they were planning to trap Lin Xian in this room. The tall and dignified old man sat down. Then he stared at Lin Xian and smiled. "There is no choice. The situation is serious. I had to ask young Master Lin to come here personally." "Young Master Lin, did you bring the longevity pill?" "I've been carrying the longevity pills with me. Where are your heads?" Lin Xian asked calmly. Seeing Lin Xian's confident and calm appearance, the tall and mighty elder's eyes flashed with a trace of coldness. Disregarding everything else, just the steady aura alone surpassed the vast majority of young martial artists. If such a person was allowed to continue growing, he would definitely become a great enemy of the Duan clan. Therefore, he had to get rid of him today. Behind the old man, the handsome young man also revealed a cold smile. In his opinion, Lin Xian was not confident. Instead, he was arrogant and had a death wish. How foolish of him to dare to come to their place alone. "My surname is Du, and my name is Kong. This is my grandson Du Tianxing." Humph. Hearing this, Du Tianxing snorted arrogantly. To be honest, in Du Tianxing's heart, Lin Xian was far inferior to him. In terms of talent and strength, Lin Xian was no match for him. It was just that Lin Xian was lucky enough to become the young master of the Palace of Ares. If this identity was given to him, he would definitely be able to do 10 times, no, 100 times better than Lin Xian. However, Lin Xian frowned slightly and said impatiently, "I'm not interested in knowing your name. You just need to hand over the 3 heads of the Duan clan's core elders." As for other things, I'm not interested in knowing. Hearing this, Du Kong's face darkened, and he looked at Lin Xian coldly. Suddenly, the air in the room froze like a mountain, making it difficult for everyone to breathe. Du Tianqing also shouted angrily, "Lin, what's with your attitude? How dare you speak to my grandfather like that? Hurry up and apologize." Lin Xian sneered. "Who do you think you are? I'm talking to your grandfather. Who are you to speak here? Slap him." Lin Xian's meaning was clear. He was from the same generation as Du Kong, and Du Tianqing was from the same generation as his grandson. Du Tianqing naturally understood what he meant. He was instantly enraged, and even wanted to pull out the long sword at his waist. "Tianqing, back off," Du Kong said in a low voice. "Don't scare young Master Lin." "Scare me? You're thinking too much. How can this kind of situation scare me?" Lin Xian sneered disdainfully. "All right, you've been pretending for so long. Even if you're not tired, I'm tired. Show me what you have. My time is precious." Hearing Lin Xian's impatient words, Du Kong frowned. "What am I pretending for? You can tell?" He suddenly had a bad feeling, because Lin Xian was too confident. Could it be that Lin Xian had seen through his trick? But so what? Lin Xian had already come in. There was no way he could escape. "All right, stop wasting time. If you continue wasting time, I'm afraid Ling Feng can't wait any longer." Lin Xian sneered. "Looks like you already know." Du Kong's face was completely dark, and his eyes were filled with murderous intent. "But I'm curious. Since you already know, you still dare to come. You're really courting death." "I'm curious, because I want to see what kind of tricks you have up your sleeves. But now it seems like it's really nothing." Lin Xian shrugged, and his face was filled with indifference. "Since you already know, then I'll cut to the chase. Men, kill him." As soon as Du Kong's voice fell, two black-clothed martial artists in the room quickly walked in. With a clang, they unsheathed their swords and charged at Lin Xian. Dazzling saber lights flashed in the air, and with a sharp aura, they slashed at Lin Xian from both sides. It seemed like they wanted to cut off his arms and legs. Clang! The sound of metal colliding rang out. The two dazzling saber lights in the air seemed to have collided with a giant mountain, and quickly broke in half. What? He blocked it. Behind him, the two black-clothed martial artists' faces changed drastically, and Du Kong's face also darkened. Lin Xian also stopped smiling, and it was replaced by a cold look. His gaze was like lightning, and a dazzling sword light soared from his body, as if it was tearing the world apart. The sword chi contained a sharp murderous aura, and it was extremely terrifying, like thousands of beasts galloping. With a wave of his hand, two sword chi flew out and quickly slashed behind him, instantly cutting the two black-clothed martial artists in half. Instantly, a bloody mist sprayed out, and the pungent smell of blood filled the air. "Go kill him for me," Du Kong roared. He had a bad feeling in his heart, so he did not attack. Instead, he quickly retreated with Du Tianqing. Soon the other 6 black-clothed martial artists in the room attacked, and a powerful aura erupted from their bodies. They were all 8th Heaven Honorables. Lin Xian snorted coldly, and a strong murderous aura emanated from his body. Countless lightning bolts rushed out and surrounded his body. Then Lin Xian punched out. Boom! Thunder exploded, and it rushed forward together with the fist. The power was too strong, as if the thunder god had descended. Poof! 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 The 3 black-clothed martial artists who were charging forward bore the brunt of the attack. They were struck by the violent lightning bolts, and they immediately screamed in agony. Their body defenses and armor shattered instantly, as they could not withstand the powerful power of the lightning bolts. Boom! Chapter 1293. The three black-robed men were the first to bear the brunt of the attack. They screamed in agony as they were struck by the violent lightning. Their body defenses and armors instantly shattered, unable to withstand the powerful lightning energy. Boom! Then, the three of them exploded as well. The blood mist in the air had yet to dissipate, but Lin Xian's figure was still nowhere to be seen. Lin Xian appeared in front of the other two black-robed martial artists in a flash. His 5 fingers formed a claw as he grabbed their heads and smashed them in the middle. Boom! Like a watermelon being split open, blood splattered everywhere. In an instant, the black-robed man was dead. There was only one person left. However, at this moment, the 2 maidservants who were brewing tea earlier also shouted. They quickly took out 2 thin swords from their storage rings and stabbed at Lin Xian. The 2 swords were at a tricky angle, aiming directly at Lin Xian's vital points. Moreover, they were very fast. They even passed by the black-robed men from before. Who would have thought that these 2 frail girls were actually terrifying assassins? 2 cold lights flashed in the air, instantly slicing through the air. Lin Xian snorted coldly as countless white lightning surged out of his fist. The white lightning was very strange. It carried a cold and violent aura. It quickly formed a demonic beast in the air and pounced forward. In an instant, it enveloped the 2 maidservants. In the next moment, the power of lightning was released. It pierced through their bodies. Plop! Plop! 2 charred bodies fell to the ground, emitting the smell of barbecued meat. When the last black-robed martial artist saw this, his expression changed drastically. He quickly fled outside. However, Lin Xian's figure flashed, and he instantly appeared beside him. With a kick he split the man in half. In an instant, 8 black-robed martial artists and 2 assassins were killed. Blood flowed all over the ground. The pungent smell of blood was disgusting. Du Tianxing's eyelids twitched when he saw this scene. His body began to tremble. Just like him, as a peak 8th heaven martial artist, he usually did not put anyone in his eyes. But the scene in front of him had deeply stimulated him. Those were 8 8th heaven supremacies. They were killed in an instant. This was something that he did not dare to imagine. Originally, he was very arrogant and thought that Lin Xian was inferior to him. However, it seemed that he was very wrong. Du Kong's expression was also very gloomy. Judging from Lin Xian's methods, his strength was definitely not inferior to a 9th heaven supremacy. It seemed that the rumors were true. I admit that you exceeded my expectations. But so what? We have set a trap today. No matter how strong you are, you will not be able to escape. Where is the enforcement elder? Du Kong shouted coldly. Suddenly, the void fluctuated and 5 cold figures walked out. The auras of these 5 people were extremely powerful, far surpassing that of the black-robed cultivator from before. Their bodies exuded a violent aura, and their auras showed that they were 5 9th level supremacies. The 5 9th heaven venerables stood in the void like demon kings, firmly locking onto Lin Xian. To the sky, to the sky, to the ground, to be killed 9th heaven to be. And the sky to sky. To the sky, to the sky. The sky to the sky, to the ground. Assassins. In the sky, on the ground, in all directions, formations were activated. Dazzling inscriptions flickered, and the entire villa became a cage. Kill him. Do not leave him alive. Du Kong shouted coldly. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Countless hidden weapons flashed with a cold light. They flew out of the sky and quickly pierced towards Lin Xian. These hidden weapons were poisonous. If a martial artist below the 9th heaven supremacy was hit, he would die from the poison. Lin Xian sneered. He opened his fingers and stretched them forward. Then countless lightning surged out from his fingertips. They formed a ball of lightning and surrounded him. Immediately, the hidden weapons that filled the sky all crashed into the lightning screen and started to spin inside it. He blocked all of them. The surrounding martial artists were shocked. They could not believe it. The darts that they had shot out were very terrifying. Even a 9th heaven supremacy would not be able to block them easily. However, the other party was able to easily block it. One had to admit that this was simply too unbelievable. However, this was not the end. The darts were all suspended in the air. Then, under Lin Xian's control, they flew in all directions at an even more violent speed. Poo-pee-you! In the next moment, The martial artists hidden in the darkness all screamed. They had all been hit by the darts and were poisoned. Just when everyone wanted to escape, those darts suddenly smashed open, and those injured martial artists were blown into pieces, their flesh and blood splattering everywhere. It turned out that these darts had been injected with the power of lightning, and were very powerful. Now that they exploded under Lin Xian's control, their power was terrifying. In an instant, dozens of martial artists died. You're courting death. Die, brat. The 5 Ninth Heaven exalts were enraged when they saw this scene, and they quickly charged towards Lin Xian. These 5 people were too violent. Even a mid-Ninth Heaven supremacy could not resist them when they joined forces, let alone Lin Xian. Thus, everyone thought that Lin Xian was really going to die this time. Ruffian dragon, it's up to you, Lin Xian said solemnly. Don't worry, it's just a few Ninth Heaven supremacies. I don't care about them. Anyway, I haven't exercised in a long time. I can play with them. The dark red dragon laughed strangely. Then he flew out like a bolt of red lightning. Where did this snake come from? You dare to seek death? One of the Ninth Heaven supremacies laughed coldly and threw a punch at the dark red dragon. Crack, crack. The sound of bones cracking rang out. In the next moment, that Ninth Heaven supremacy screamed. This was because his fists collided with the dark red dragon. However, he did not shatter it. Instead, it was like he had collided with a mountain. That terrifying rebounding force caused his entire palm to shatter. Foolish and ignorant human. You want to contend against this emperor with just this little bit of strength? You're really asking for death. The dark red dragon was like an old monster. He laughed strangely. Then his body expanded, and he became a dragon that was dozens of feet long. He quickly trapped 3 of the Ninth Heaven supremacies. The remaining 2 quickly charged toward Lin Xian. Die, brat. Those 2 Ninth Heaven supremacies attacked with ferocious roars. Although their 3 companions were blocked, the 2 of them were enough. This was because the 2 of them could fight against a mid-stage Ninth Heaven supremacy. Killing a 7th Heaven supremacy was a piece of cake. Boom boom. 2 balls of energy surged out and instantly enveloped Lin Xian. Then they quickly exploded. The void trembled, and a terrifying black hole was torn open. Countless waves of air surged, and the scene was very shocking. Meanwhile, the place where Lin Xian was at was drowned by the turbulence. Haha, die. In the distance, Du Tianqing saw this scene, and immediately laughed loudly. At the side, Du Kong also heaved a sigh of relief. Whoosh whoosh. However, suddenly, countless sword chi flew out of the energy vortex and swept out in all directions, instantly slicing the turbulence in the sky. Then, Lin Xian's black hair fluttered, and he walked out like a god of war. What? He's fine. Everyone was stunned. Chapter 1294. Countless streaks of sword chi flew out from the energy whirlpool and sliced through the air. Lin Xian's black hair fluttered in the wind as he walked out like a god of war. What? He's fine. Everyone was stunned. Impossible, this is impossible. Du Tianqing screamed. Du Tianqing was indeed stunned. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. That was the combined attack of 2 Ninth Heaven venerables. Its power was definitely terrifying and unimaginable, but Lin Xian seemed to be fine. It was as if the attack just now hadn't hit him at all. How could this be? How could he be unharmed? Even the 2 Ninth Heaven venerables were stunned. They couldn't understand what was going on at all. Meanwhile, Lin Xian's eyes lit up, and his lips curled up slightly. He was very happy, because the Red Lotus armor that he had refined had played a role and blocked 70% of the attack. That was why he was unharmed. As expected of the Red Lotus armor, it was indeed powerful. Lin Xian was very excited. He was looking forward to how strong his defense would be if he refined the entire Red Lotus armor. Since the 2 of you have finished attacking, it's my turn now. Lin Xian released a powerful aura. Then he quickly formed seals with his hands. You're asking for death. The 2 Ninth Heaven venerables were furious. Although they didn't know how Lin Xian had dodged their attacks, they couldn't tolerate a 7th Heaven venerables attacking them. Bloodthirsty Ghost Claw. Blood-sucking blade. The 2 of them roared and used their ultimate techniques. A ghost claw that was 500 to 600 meters long slashed toward Lin Xian. Just the aftershock alone was enough to cause the entire void to crack open, let alone the terrifying consequences of being hit by it head-on. On the other side, a blood-colored blade shot into the sky, as if it was going to cut the entire sky open. This was the furious attack of two Ninth Heaven Venerables. Its power was extremely terrifying. Faced with this shocking attack, Lin Xian's expression was cold. He quickly formed seals with his hands. Then, Xiongqi's huge body formed in the sky. As soon as it formed, it charged forward with a ferocious roar. Roar! A sound wave rushed out, forming a boundless killing intent. It rushed forward violently, resisting the blood-red ghost claw and shocking long blade. Rumble! The two collided and the sky collapsed. Sky rock transformation. At the next moment, Lin Xian formed another seal. Another golden celestial pung appeared in the void, looking extremely awe-inspiring. The heavenly pung let out a long cry and swooped down, merging with Lin Xian's fist. Kill! Lin Xian's black hair fluttered in the wind. Like a god of death, he charged forward. Clang! In the blink of an eye, he arrived in front of the two of them. The golden heavenly pung's fist whistled as it smashed out. Ghost claws flashed in the sky, but they couldn't block it at all. Bei was instantly blasted apart. Crack crack. On top of that, Ghost-clawed Venerable One's palm was also hit, causing cracking sounds to be heard. Damn it, how is this possible? He was terrified, not daring to believe this. That was because not only did his opponent blast away his ghost claw, he even shattered his fist. Retreat, this young fella's too strange. Ghost-clawed Venerable One dared not fight head-on, so it wanted to distance itself from Ouyangming. You want to leave? Stay. On the other hand, Lin Xian sneered. His fingers formed claws like the sharp claws of a heavenly pung, and he grabbed Ghost-clawed Venerable One's arm in a split second. Crack. With a forceful pull, Ghost-clawed Venerable One's right arm was directly torn off. White bones were exposed and blood spurted out. The scene was shocking. Ah! Ghost-clawed Venerable One screamed in pain, and its face was hideous. Blood Saber the Venerable One's face changed. He did not expect his opponent to injure Ghost-clawed Venerable One in an instant. What shocked him even more was yet to come. Ghost-clawed Venerable One's right arm, that was torn off, quickly burned in Lin Xian's hand. In the end, not even ashes were left. On top of that, numerous black flames danced on Ouyangming's left hand, forming a black flame longsword. Sword light flickered as Black Sword Qi soared into the sky and slashed toward Blood Saber the Venerable One. Get lost! Blood Saber the Venerable One was furious. He slashed 32 saber lights with his wild blood saber in a row. The demonic saber lights quickly crisscrossed in the air like a long red river, emitting monstrous killing intents. When the fearsome red saber lights came into contact with Lin Xian's Black Sword Qi, they quickly evaporated and formed numerous red mists. In the end, the 32 saber lights evaporated completely without leaving a trace behind. This is impossible. Blood Saber the Venerable One's face changed. When he saw the Black Sword Qi that was slashing toward him, he quickly dodged. Even so, he could not avoid it at all. The sword Qi formed by the black flames flickered in the air. Then it split into 2, then 4, then 8. In the end, 64 black sword Qis intertwined to form a sword net, which directly surrounded Blood Saber the Venerable One. TSS. Blood Saber the Venerable One could not dodge, so he could only take it head-on. He quickly formed 13 layers of defense, and pushed the armor on his body with all his might, preparing to resist with all his might. Nonetheless, when the black sword light landed, the 13 layers of defense in front of him melted like snow, and did not stop at all. What flame is this? How can it be so fearsome? Blood Saber the Venerable One's eyes were filled with despair. He could only pin his hopes on the armor on his body, because it was a half-Earth-grade treasure tool, and it had saved him many times. He hoped that this time, it could also block the fearsome flame sword Qi. The half-Earth-grade treasure tool was indeed fearsome, and it resisted the sword net in the sky. Blood Saber the Venerable One heaved a sigh of relief, but in the next moment he screamed in pain. This was because the horrifying high temperature directly passed through the half-Earth-grade treasure and burned his body. Crackle! Crackle! The black flames burned like the fire of hell, emitting a gloomy light. Soon, Blood Saber the Venerable One was burned into ashes, leaving only his half-earth grade armor. Looking at the armor that was burned full of holes, everyone's scalps went numb. What kind of flame was it? How could it be so fearsome that even a ninth heaven Venerable One could not resist it? On the other side, Ghost Claude the Venerable One was completely dumbfounded. As compared to Blood Saber the Venerable One, he only lost an arm. He dared not attack again, so he turned and fled. On the other hand, Lin Xian scoffed coldly. He pulled out his Lone Star Sword and performed the Star Sword technique. Countless sword cheese gathered in the sky at once, forming stars that quickly fell. One of them directly enveloped Ghost Claude the Venerable One and smashed his body into the ground, forming a bottomless abyss. In an instant, 2 ninth heaven venerables were killed. Everyone was stunned by this scene. Grandpa. In the distance, Du Tianxing's body trembled, and he stuttered. Why don't we run? Du Kong also took a deep breath. To be honest, he was also frightened. Although he was a ninth heaven Venerable One, he could not kill 2 ninth heaven venerables so easily. Moreover, looking at Lin Xian, it seemed that he had not used his full strength. Tianxing, retreat first and spread the news. Ask young Master Ling Feng to send more people, Du Kong said in a deep voice. Okay. Du Tianxing was already scared out of his wits. When he heard this, he immediately rushed into the sky. But soon he came back crying. Chapter 1295. It's sealed. How is that possible? This villa has a total of 3 layers of formations. Did you not activate all of them? Du Kong asked with a frown. No, grandfather. I've already activated all of them, but there's an unfamiliar formation outside. It's not ours at all. Moreover, that formation is very mysterious. I can't open it at all. There's another formation. Du Kong's expression changed drastically. Could it be that kid who set it up? Thinking of this, he soared into the sky, wanting to give it a try. Sure enough, after the 3rd layer of formations, he encountered the 4th layer of formations. Du Kong's eyes shone brightly as he roared furiously. His fist was like a divine thunder hammer, as it rapidly bombarded the top. Boom! An earth-shattering sound rang out, and the entire villa shook. However, the 4th formation flickered with light, and no cracks appeared. Du Kong didn't believe it. His body moved like lightning as he quickly searched in all directions. In the end, he discovered that the entire villa was completely sealed, and there was no way out at all. Not to mention Du Tianxing, even he couldn't break it open. Damn it! How is this possible? Actually, he didn't know that this formation was set up by the dark red divine dragon. With their strength and cultivation, they couldn't break it at all. In other words, this villa had indeed become a heaven and earth cage. However, it wasn't Lin Xian that was trapped, but Du Kong and the others. Thinking of this, a hint of madness appeared in Lin Xian's eyes. Everyone, attack with all your strength. You must kill him, Du Kong quickly ordered. At the same time, he took out 3 spirit talismans from his storage ring and quickly burned them. These were 3 voice transmission spirit talismans that could summon 3 middle stage 9th heaven supremacies nearby. Those 3 were stronger than him, and he had left them nearby as a precaution. He didn't expect that they would really come in handy now. In the villa, all the cultivators knew that their way out was sealed. They could only leave if they killed the young man in front of them. Therefore, for a moment, everyone became crazy. Kill him! All the cultivators attacked crazily. Hidden weapons, sword light, saber light, and palm shadows all rushed toward Lin Xian. Among them, 3 figures were very powerful. They were actually 9th heaven supremacies. With the 5 from before and the 3 now, there was a total of 8 9th heaven venerables, and 1 9th heaven venerables in the middle stage. This lineup could be said to be extremely powerful, and could kill anyone. He could even kill 2 mid-9th layer martial highnesses, let alone a 7th layer martial highness realm brat. It could be said that this was a situation of certain death. However, no matter how Sir Ling Feng calculated, he still underestimated Lin Xian's strength. He did not expect Lin Xian to be able to easily kill an early stage 9th stage venerable, which led to the current situation. Use the blood explosion talisman. In the darkness, the 3 9th level venerables didn't attack. Instead, they led the other 7th and 8th level venerables to attack from afar. Immediately, many venerables took out spirit talismans from their storage rings, bit their fingers, and poured a small bowl of blood into them. Those talismans turned blood red and released a monstrous killing intent. Then, these blood explosion talismans were tied to the hidden weapons and quickly flew over. Whoosh! Whoosh! Dozens of rays of light flickered in the air, like the eyes of demons, incomparably scarlet. In an instant, countless hidden weapons with incomparably violent blood explosion talismans pierced towards Lin Xian. Looking at the sky full of blood explosion talismans, Lin Xian's expression was cold. In the next moment, he pulled out the Lone Star sword behind him, and a sharp sword chi instantly erupted. Countless black flames wrapped around the longsword, forming mysterious patterns that emitted a terrifying temperature. Moreover, the sword let out a low dragon roar, as if the entire longsword was about to transform into a giant dragon. Kill! Lin Xian held the Lone Star sword in his hand and slashed forward. The wind whistled, and the sword chi was like a dragon, accompanied by countless black flames. In the next moment, the surrounding blood explosion talismans and hidden weapons burned rapidly, because they were swept by the aftershock of the sword chi. The terrifying temperature directly burned the blood explosion talismans. The hidden weapons and blood explosion talismans in front of him also disappeared in an instant. Not only that, those cultivators also let out ear-piercing screams. In front of him, the cultivators screamed as black flames quickly rose from their bodies and burned fiercely. Almost instantly, they were burned to ashes. Lin Xian held the longsword in his hand, and his black hair fluttered. His body exuded a sharp killing intent, and countless black flames rose from under his feet, as if they were worshipping him. He was like the god of death as he walked forward. The surrounding cultivators were all stunned. That sword just now had killed more than 100 people, and a large area of empty space appeared in the manor. The remaining people were all trembling, and their faces were filled with fear. No, I don't want to die. Finally, someone couldn't take it anymore and screamed. This fear was like a plague, spreading rapidly. In an instant, more than half of the cultivators lost their will to fight and fled in all directions. However, the entire manor was sealed, so where could they escape to? Lin Xian let out a low roar and unleashed his ice and fire dual martial souls. Instantly, those fleeing cultivators froze, and countless ice spikes drilled out of their bodies, while the surface of their bodies burned rapidly. In an instant, everyone was killed. No, this can't be real. In the distance, Du Tianqing screamed, and his face was extremely pale. Meanwhile, the expressions of Du Kong and the 3 Ninth Heaven Supremacies, who were fighting with the dark red dragon, changed drastically. Especially the 3 Ninth Heaven Supremacies, they quickly retreated, not daring to fight anymore. Elder Kong, what should we do? The 3 of them asked anxiously. Fight. Otherwise only death awaits. Du Kong's expression was ferocious. We still have people, we still have hope. Furthermore, the 3 senior brothers are still on the way, and will arrive soon. By then, the 4 Ninth Heaven Supremacies wouldn't be afraid of him. But we can't stop him at all. The 3 Ninth Heaven Supremacies shook their heads with fear in their eyes. Even if we can't stop him, we have to stop him. As long as we can delay him a little more, we can win. Otherwise we will all die, Du Kong said in a low voice. This time, we have gathered the strength of the 8 great families. I don't believe that we can't kill him. Indeed, the 8 great families under Prince Ling Feng had sent out elite cultivators this time, and there were still many of them in the manor. However, those are all our hard work. If we die here, our 8 great families will be finished. The 3 Ninth Heaven Supremacies couldn't bear it. You're wrong. If we die, it will be the real end. Du Kong didn't have any emotions. As long as we don't die, the 8 great families can be reformed. Alright, tell them to come out. I understand, the 3 Ninth Heaven Supremacies said. However, they still need some time to come out. Du Kong nodded. Let the weaponry refinement team go first. The Blood Demon team and Half Demon team quickly recover. Yes, the 3 Ninth Heaven Supremacies agreed. Then, with a flash, they flew into the depths of the manor. Lin Xian held his sword and watched silently. He didn't stop them. This was because he was here to eliminate the source of the problem. Only when those people took out all their hidden strength would he be able to make a move. Otherwise, if he kept them alive, they would be a disaster in the future. Clang, 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 rumble. Chapter 1296. The sound of metal clanging resounded in the villa, followed by the ground trembling slightly. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes and looked ahead. A group of about 50 martial artists appeared in front of him. These people had cold expressions, and their faces had a metallic luster, as if they were not real humans but metal men. Lin Xian was a little surprised. He did not expect to meet such martial artists. Beside him, the dark red dragon frowned. Weapon fusion body refinement. What? Lin Xian did not understand. There is an ancient lost art that can fuse weapons into one's body and cultivate it into an extremely powerful divine ability. You mean these people all have ancient cultivation methods and have cultivated it? Lin Xian was astonished. You've succeeded? How is that possible? That kind of cultivation method has been lost, and the requirements for martial artists are very high. Ordinary martial artists can't cultivate it at all. These people probably only heard of the legend of weapon fusion body refinement, but the method is wrong. The dark red dragon shook his head. These people must have forcibly fused weapons into their bodies. It is very dangerous, and the process is very cruel. Hearing the dark red dragon's explanation, Lin Xian also understood that these people in front of him must have cultivated an evil art. These people were really crazy. In order to pursue greater power, they did not hesitate to use such a self-harming method. In front, 50 metal martial artists rushed over quickly like a sharp sword. Soon, these people divided into 5 teams of 10 people and rushed over from different directions. The martial artists in the first team spread out their arms, and there were blades on their arms. Thinking about it, these people must have fused their weapons into their arms. The 10 people were very fast, and in an instant, they were in front of Lin Xian. The arms that had fused with their weapons quickly blasted out, wanting to kill him. Lin Xian snorted and waved his fist, accompanied by countless lightning, quickly rampaging. Bang! An earth-shattering sound rang out as he collided with a martial artist who had fused with a giant hammer. Suddenly, the whole space shook, and the ear-piercing roar made many people bleed from their ears. Lin Xian's eyes were like lightning, and he was as still as a mountain. The martial artist opposite him took dozens of steps back, and the whole ground was stepped into a ditch. However, his arm was not broken. Lin Xian was also very surprised. As expected of an arm that had fused with a weapon, it was indeed powerful. Compared to martial artists of the same level, it was a whole realm stronger. No wonder these people did not hesitate to harm their own bodies and use such a cruel method. When they saw this scene, Du Kong and Du Tianqing in the distance were overjoyed as well. They realized that they seemed to have found a way to deal with Lin Xian. At least these people weren't instantly killed like before. Go, go! Kill him! Du Kong roared madly. Immediately, the 50 metal warriors received the order, and their figures flashed like lightning, attacking once again. The first squad was like a sharp knife, rushing to the forefront. Giant hammers, sabers, swords, spears, all sorts of strange weapons appeared on the arms of these people. They flashed with a cold light and fiercely attacked Lin Xian. The second team launched a sneak attack from behind. These people had fused their legs together. With a kick, saber light and sword shadows appeared. The legs of those martial artists were like heavenly sabers. They were incomparably sharp and easily cut open the void. Squad 3, Squad 4, and Squad 5 keep up. Some of these people had fused half of their bodies. Some had completely fused, forming metal people. They could be said to be extremely powerful. Even a 9th heaven venerable would probably find it difficult to escape unscathed when faced with such a terrifying attack. Lin Xian stood in place and did not move. A cold smile appeared on his face. If it were anyone else, they would probably be helpless in this situation. Because the other party's body was really too tough, they could not blast it open at all. However, he was different. He had a way to deal with these people. No matter how strong you are only metal. You will also melt in the face of fierce fire. Lin Xian's expression was cold, and a ball of black flames appeared in his palm. Indeed, Lin Xian had terrifying black flames that could restrain metal. As expected, when the black flames appeared, those metal warriors trembled. Many of them looked terrified. Faced with the black flames, they instinctively felt a kind of fear. Don't retreat, all of you, attack. Although he has flames, he might not be able to restrain us, someone shouted. Hearing this, a trace of madness appeared in these people's eyes. With a roar, they quickly charged over like wild beasts. Stubborn. Lin Xian snorted coldly. He slapped out with his palm, and immediately, a large palm of black flames appeared. This black flame came from the heavenly netherbird's origin flame. It was extremely terrifying. Furthermore, Lin Xian had refined it into a martial soul, so it was even stronger. When it appeared, the entire space became distorted. The first team was even more fiercely attacked. Their arms began to melt under the high temperature. Soon, their hands that had fused with their weapons turned into a ball of molten metal that dripped onto the ground. The metal warriors of the first team let out ear-piercing screams. There was no helping it. It was too painful. Could you imagine the feeling of having your arms melt? They were now suffering this kind of torment. These metal warriors originally had this kind of flaw. If they encountered extremely strong flames, they would not be able to resist at all. However, when they had chosen this path, they had thought that they would be lucky. There were very few such flames in the world. Furthermore, as long as it was not a king-level flame, they would not be afraid at all. However, how could they have known that Lin Xian's flames came from an ancient peerless demonic beast? It was even more terrifying than a king-level flame. Therefore, they had no way of resisting this kind of black flame at all. The large black palm was like a bulldozer that pushed forward. Everywhere it passed, the metal warriors of the first team melted. In an instant, the threat in front of Lin Xian was eliminated. However, at this time, the people of the second team had already charged over. Demonic Blade Kick. Ghost Fire 18 Kicks. Wind Cloud Divine Kick. The shadows of the kicks flashed like heavenly blades and divine swords. They were extremely sharp. If an 8th heaven venerable realm was hit by this attack, he would probably explode immediately. Lin Xian sneered. Without even turning his head, he slapped out with his palm. Suddenly, a black fire dragon flew out from his palm and roared as it circled around. The metal warriors of the second team were instantly enveloped by the black dragon. They let out miserable cries. Their attacks were all burned in the air and then melted. Not only that, but 2 black spears appeared in Lin Xian's palms. They burned fiercely and quickly pierced towards the left and right. The spears were extremely sharp and carried a scorching heat. It was as if the fire god had descended to the world. They instantly pierced through the third and fourth teams. As for the fifth team, Lin Xian glanced at them. Then black flames appeared all over their bodies. Soon, the 5 teams of the weaponry refinement team were all wiped out. Who? Chapter 1297. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Black flames danced on the ground, burning fiercely. Meanwhile, the cultivators from the weaponry refinement team were nowhere to be seen. Not even their corpses were left behind. This scene was too terrifying. The weaponry refinement team, that had been roaring furiously and filled with killing intent a second ago, actually had nothing left behind. For a moment, the entire villa was empty. Seeing this scene, Du Tianxing and Du Kong both felt their scalps go numb. Especially Du Kong, who was even more terrified. This was because he knew the power of the weaponry refinement team. They were definitely extremely powerful. Even a ninth heaven venerable could not kill them. Those people were formed by the 8 great clans, after spending a lot of effort. Back then, a total of 5,000 people had participated in this experiment, but in the end, only 50 people had succeeded. It could be said that this was their secret weapon. Now that they had used it to deal with Lin Xian, it should be very effective. However, who would have thought that they would be killed in an instant? Where are the Blood Demon team and Half-Beast team? Du Kong roared furiously, his eyes filled with fear. He had to delay Lin Xian and wait for the other 3 Ninth Heaven Venerables to arrive. Otherwise, they would be dead for sure. Elder Kong, the Blood Demon team and Half-Beast team, have not fully recovered yet. The Ninth Heaven Venerable broke out in cold sweat. We can't wait any longer. Let them go quickly. We must stop them. Yes, I understand. The Ninth Heaven Venerable gritted his teeth and nodded in the end. Then he turned around and left quickly like a ghost. Not long after, the ground in front of them suddenly flashed brightly. 2 huge hexagram arrays quickly appeared. Then 2 groups of people appeared in the light. Transportation array. Looks like some strange fellows have come out again. The dark red dragon looked forward with anticipation. The dazzling light quickly disappeared, and finally, 2 groups of cultivators appeared on the ground. This time there were fewer people. There were only about 30 people on each side. In total, there were about 60 people. However, their auras were even more violent than the weaponry refinement team from before. The 30 people on the left were extremely strange. Their bodies were glowing red. If one looked closely, they would realize that it was blood flowing. They were all like blood men. Their cold eyes were extremely red, and they were filled with killing intent. They looked like a group of killing gods. Thinking about it, this should be the Blood Demon team that Du Kong was talking about. Looking at the killing intent on these people, they should have killed at least 10,000 people. Not only that, their blood seemed to have been stimulated by a secret technique, forming a special energy. However, this method of squeezing out the Boda's potential meant that these martial artists would not live for long. Being able to live for 10 years was already very heaven-defying. The dark red dragon god had a look of disdain on its face. It was very opposed to this method of extracting energy. Then it turned its gaze to the people on the right. Fuck, what is this? The group of warriors on the right was even weirder. Some of them had a pair of wings on their backs, some had scales on their bodies, and some had parts of demonic beasts. This was the last group, the half-demon group. What the hell are they? They're neither human nor demon. They're neither fish nor fowl. These guys are really courting death. The dark red dragon shook its head. This should be their final secret weapon, Lin Xian said coldly as he looked at the blood demons and half-fiends. It seems that in order to obtain great power, they have already turned into demons. This is not something a martial artist would do. Since it's something that shouldn't exist in this world, let it disappear. Lin Xian's voice was sonorous, and his eyes were full of fighting spirit. At the front, the blood demons and half-fiends quickly recovered after receiving the order. The eyes of the blood demons on the left exploded with a terrifying red light. Their killing intent was incomparable, as if they had gone crazy. The blood-red killing intent was agitated and shrouded the entire sky. In an instant, the entire manor was dyed blood-red. The 30 people at the front all had materialized killing intent. Then, they soared into the sky and charged at Lin Xian quickly. Killing intent? You're not qualified. Lin Xian snorted disdainfully. Then his eyes shone with a dazzling light. Blood Sword Massacre Inheritance activate. A violent energy instantly exploded from his body. Blood-red sword aura gushed out from Lin Xian's body, and quickly covered the surroundings, forming a sea of blood. 2 rays of blood-red light appeared in his cold eyes. Not only that, his black hair danced in the wind, and was also dyed blood-red. A shocking and violent killing intent exploded from Lin Xian's body. It swept through heaven and earth, causing the entire manor to tremble violently. If the killing intent of the 30 people at the front were rivers and lakes, then Lin Xian's was a vast ocean, a vast starry sky, boundless and endless. The two were not even on the same level. What? How is this possible? How can he have such a terrifying killing intent? In the distance, Du Kong and the other Ninth Heaven supremacies were all stunned. How many people did he have to kill to form such a violent killing intent? 100,000? 1 million? Or 10 million? They did not dare to believe that a 20-year-old martial artist could kill so many people. How could they know that the reason Lin Xian could display such a violent killing intent was entirely because of the blood sword massacre inheritance? That was the inheritance of a king. It was definitely not something that they could imagine. In front, the 30 cultivators of the blood demon group also sensed Lin Xian's aura. Instantly they trembled uneasily. The killing intent on their bodies also became chaotic and uneasy. Facing Lin Xian, they were no longer charging forward crazily. Instead, they were like trembling kittens. They did not have any resistance at all. Oh no, the consciousness of the blood demon group is about to collapse. Behind them, a Ninth Heaven supremacy's expression changed drastically. In the next instant, he took out a blood-red bell. A hint of madness appeared in his eyes, and he shook it rapidly. Dang, 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 dang. Strange syllables were heard. When the blood demons heard this, they instantly went crazy. Their trembling bodies also returned to normal. However, the aura on their bodies became even more violent. The veins in their eyes were also so thick that they could not be removed. If an outsider saw this, they would know that these people had completely gone crazy. Attack! The 30 figures were like suicide soldiers who did not care about their lives, as they quickly charged forward. Even if they had to self-destruct, they had to kill this young man in front of them. Lin Xian's invitation was even more arrogant. It was as if he had been reborn. The sea of blood around him surged, and a blood-red longsword condensed in front of him. Blood-splitting sky. With a swing of the sword, an unparalleled sword light surged rapidly. It was like a blood-red rainbow that instantly enveloped the 30 people in front of him. Wherever the sword light passed, countless demonic sounds and ghostly howls could be heard. It made one's scalp go numb. At this moment, the entire 30-feet area seemed to have turned into a hellish battlefield. Bang! The blood-red sword light slashed down, and the 30 blood demon cultivators in front of him quickly exploded like dazzling fireworks. One sword, and the blood demon group was annihilated. No, this can't be real. Dream, I must be dreaming. Seeing this scene, Du Kong and the rest went crazy. Du Tianqing even knelt on the ground, trembling, and kept fiddling with his hair. Chapter 1298. In fact, the other party's killing aura had directly destroyed his mind. He could not resist at all. He could only kneel here and tremble. Below, the half-demon cultivators also went crazy and roared anxiously. They did not even need to wait for orders. They had already charged forward crazily. Just now, Lin Xian's blood-red killing sword aura had already destroyed their minds. Now they were already in a state of madness. They did not know what danger was at all. That was why they had charged forward crazily. Meanwhile, Lin Xian floated in midair. The blood sea and blood sword around him had not disappeared. Not only that, but they had become even clearer. They even emitted a pungent smell of blood. Today, I'll let you see what a real killing aura is. Lin Xian's lips curled up in a cold smile. He did not put away the blood sword massacre inheritance. Instead, he used it to the extreme. Dressed in a black robe, his blood-red hair fluttered. Lin Xian held a sword in his hand. He was like a god of death. The boundless blood sea surged in the air, emitting a sound that made one's soul tremble. Bloodthirsty demonic sword, first sword spirit slaughter. Lin Xian's voice was cold. His killing aura had materialized. His arrogant aura was like a volcano, causing the entire mountain villa to tremble. At this moment, Lin Xian had transformed into a demon. The boundless blood sea surged in the sky, dyeing the entire mountain villa red. 8 streaks of blood-red sword aura slashed out in all directions with Lin Xian as the center. The ground split open, and houses collapsed. It was a mess. The 30 half-demon cultivators were also turned into a bloody mist by the 8 streaks of sword aura. At this moment, nothing could stop Lin Xian. Seeing this, the 3 Ninth Heaven Venerables' expressions changed drastically. Du Kong's face was even paler, and he suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. Dead. They were all dead. What did he spend? The elites that he had nurtured for decades had all died in this battle. He could not accept this at all. Not only that, but the more serious thing was that the entire mountain villa was now sealed. They could not escape at all. As expected, Lin Xian's second sword was aimed at these Ninth Heaven Venerables. Bloodthirsty demon sword, second sword, slaughtering wind. It was another blood-red sword chi. Wherever it passed, a blood-red gust of wind blew through the entire manor. 4 blood-red hurricanes connected heaven and earth, as if a demon king was walking in the human world. These 4 tornadoes charged towards the 3 Ninth Heaven Venerables and Du Kong respectively. That blood-red hurricane was simply too violent. It contained an invincible aura, as well as blood-red slaughter sword chi. Coupled with the fact that these people had been scared out of their wits by Lin Xian, there was no way they could fight back. Pung pung pung. Not long after, the 3 ninth level venerables were enveloped by the blood-colored hurricane. Although they did their best to resist, the blood-red hurricane gave off countless resplendent sword lights. They were too terrifying and instantly cut these people apart. A gust of wind blew past, and the 3 powerful Ninth Heaven Venerables were reduced to a pile of minced meat. As for the 4th blood-red hurricane, it quickly flew towards Du Kong. Even Du Kong, who was a mid-stage Ninth Heaven Venerable, felt his scalp go numb at this moment. This was because this aura was really too wild. Under normal circumstances, Du Kong would not be afraid. However, this hurricane was unleashed by Lin Xian in an extremely frenzied state. Furthermore, it contained the blood energy of those dead cultivators. He did not dare to resist at all. However, the surrounding paths were all sealed. "Grandfather, do something. Quickly do something. I don't want to die." At the side, Du Tianxing was so scared that he wet his pants. His handsome face was extremely pale. At this moment, he no longer had the arrogance from before. He was like a lowly ant. However, Du Kong was silent. As he looked at the blood-red hurricane that was getting closer and closer, he made up his mind, and a hint of madness appeared in his eyes. His hand was like a ghost's claw, and it was as fast as lightning as it grabbed Du Tianxing. Du Tianxing immediately screamed in pain. This was because that hand had already sunk into his flesh, bringing forth a large amount of blood. "Ah, grandfather, you?" Du Tianxing was both shocked and frightened. He did not know what to do. However, in the next moment, his body suddenly exploded, turning into a bloody mist. Du Tianxing did not believe that his grandfather would kill him with his own hands. However, he did not know this now. The pile of blood quickly condensed in front of Du Kong, forming a fist-sized blood-red ball of light. Then Du Kong slapped it out. Boom! The blood-red ball of light was formed by Du Kong using a secret method. It was very strange. It required the body of a cultivator as the raw material, so he killed Du Tianxing. The ball of light was like a blood-red moon, flying quickly. Then it hit the hurricane, causing a tremor like today. The hurricane swept through and blood filled the air. The entire villa was completely shrouded in it. When everything disappeared, a bottomless pit appeared in front of them, as if it was connected to the netherworld. The 3 arrays that had been set up in the villa were also shattered by the explosion, leaving only the dark red dragon array that was still standing. Du Kong escaped with his life with the help of the blood-red ball of light. He hid at the side and kept panting. Looking at the scene before him, Du Kong's face was extremely pale. His heart was bleeding. This was the secret villa that he had painstakingly built to cultivate elites for the 8 great families. Now everything was destroyed. There was nothing left. In an instant, he seemed to have aged 100 years. He knew that everything was caused by this abominable kid in front of him. It was this kid who destroyed the 8 great families with his own hands. Anger rose in Du Kong's heart. It was like a raging fire burning in his body. However, in the next moment his body trembled. The anger in his body retreated quickly, as if it had encountered ice. Even Du Kong's body began to tremble. This was because he saw Lin Xian walking towards him. In the distance, Lin Xian held a blood-red sword in his hand. Behind him, there was an endless sea of blood. Step by step, he walked towards him. With every step Lin Xian took, Du Kong's heart sank. In the end, he rolled and crawled away into the distance. Stop. You can't kill me. Du Kong began to beg for mercy. Can't kill you. Lin Xian snorted coldly. Give me a reason not to kill you. If you kill me, young Master Ling Feng won't let you go. Idiot. Lin Xian was disdainful. He slowly raised the blood-red sword in his hand. Don't do it. Don't kill me. I know a lot of secrets about young Master Ling Feng and the Duan family. As long as you don't kill me, I'll tell you everything. Seeing that his threats were useless, Du Kong immediately changed his strategy. He wanted to use his value to exchange for a way out. You're not even a member of the Duan family. What secrets do you know? I'm afraid you can't even enter the Duan family's core circle. Lin Xian sneered. Stop struggling. I'll send you on your way. After saying that, Lin Xian raised the blood-red sword and was about to slash forward. At this moment, there was a sudden roar in the sky. Kid, let go of Elder Kong quickly. Otherwise, it'll make you wish you were dead. This voice was like a clap of thunder, exploding from above. Hearing this voice, Lin Xian frowned and turned to look forward. On the other hand, Du Kong on the ground was ecstatic. Chapter 1299. 3 powerful auras came from the void above. They were extremely violent and made one's heart tremble. 3 mid-stage 9th heaven venerables. Lin Xian frowned slightly, and his eyes flickered. The dark red divine dragon also snorted. I didn't expect reinforcements to arrive. Kid, be careful. They seem to have a precious weapon in their hands that can break through the last formation. Treasure? Lin Xian's eyes were like lightning as he looked up. Indeed, in the next moment, a blue pagoda suddenly enlarged and smashed downwards like a giant mountain. Boom, boom, boom. An earth-shattering sound was heard, and a huge crack appeared on the last array. Then, the 3 9th heaven venerables controlled the blue pagoda again and widened the crack. In the end, the entire array was split into 2. Swoosh, swoosh. 3 figures with powerful auras descended quickly. Lin Xian held his sword and sneered as he looked at the 3 of them. In front of him was a middle-aged man in a black robe and an old woman in a red robe with a walking stick. The last one was bald and had poisonous snakes crawling all over his body. The 3 of them had powerful auras, and they were like 3 mountains standing there. Behind them, hundreds of cultivators rushed over. Sky Snake Venerable, Red Flower Granny, Taoist Monk Mu, save me! Du Kong shouted crazily. Elder Du, don't worry. We will definitely ensure your safety, the bald Sky Snake Venerable said in a deep voice. Yes, not only that, we will also kill this kid. The middle-aged man in black, Taoist Monk Mu, was also filled with killing intent. Facing the 3 arrogant people, Lin Xian didn't care at all. Instead, he stared at the blue pagoda in Red Flower Granny's hand. A fragment of an Earth-stage treasure. No wonder it has such power to break the array. Lin Xian muttered and nodded slightly. I didn't expect you to have some knowledge. Since you know the power of the treasure, I advise you to surrender obediently. Perhaps this way, you can leave a complete corpse. Otherwise, don't blame us for tearing you into pieces. Red Flower Granny snorted with a sinister smile. However, Lin Xian was unmoved. His eyes were like lightning as he slowly scanned the crowd. Looks like you guys should be the last reinforcements. Since that's the case, let's end it. Arrogant and ignorant. You're courting death. Brat, you're dead. You won't be able to escape today. Angry shouts rang out one after another. On the other hand, Lin Xian's expression was ice-cold. His entire body was surrounded by lightning and black flames. His entire being was like a god of war, unstoppable. He fused the blood-colored light sword in his hand with the Lone Star sword, and then drew a strange trajectory in the air. Blood-red sword chi, purplish-white lightning, black flames, frost sword soul. Streaks of terrifying power were unleashed as the Lone Star Sword danced through the air. Subsequently, 5 gigantic heavenly swords formed in the sky. Gale Lightning Sword, 5 Sword Gods and Demons Annihilation. Lin Xian performed the Gale Lightning Sword technique in the face of 4 mid-stage 9th-tier martial supremacies, and close to 100 assassins. Furthermore, it was the final form of the Gale Lightning Sword technique. 5 gigantic heavenly swords appeared in the air. One of them was blood red in color. With a monstrous killing aura, it slashed towards the 100 martial artists in the distance. Boom! As the sword landed, the ground caved in and the void shattered. The violent killing aura immediately shrouded the 100 martial artists. Screams rang out one after another. Countless people struggled in a frenzy, trying to break out of the encirclement. However, they were all turned into blood mist by the gigantic sword, and no longer existed. In an instant, the 100 martial artists were all annihilated. What? Sky Snake's supremacy and Safflower Grandma had just arrived, and had not seen Lin Xian's previous combat strength. Hence, when they saw this scene, their eyelids twitched violently. How could it be? There were hundreds of elites and countless experts. Even they could not kill them in one move. However, the young man in front of them did it. This gave them a bad premonition. The 3 of you, this brat is extremely powerful. Don't hesitate. Hurry up and attack together. Du Kong roared in a frenzy to remind everyone. Sky Snake's supremacy, and the other 2 gasped when they heard that. Then, an incomparable killing intent erupted from their bodies. Kill! Furious roars rang out one after another. Sky Snake's supremacy, and the other 2 quickly attacked. Tens of thousands of snakes ran around Sky Snake's supremacy's body, and formed a huge flying python that charged forward quickly. Safflower Grandma activated the blue pagoda in her hand, and shot out a dazzling light shadow. The power was extremely terrifying, and caused the entire void to crack. Taoist Priest Mu moved like a ghost. The black longsword in his hand was as fast as lightning as it pierced toward Lin Xian's back. Du Kong, who was on the ground, also roared in rage. He unleashed a violent power, and waved his fists to attack Lin Xian. In an instant, the 4 top experts attacked together. They were determined to kill Lin Xian. Lin Xian, on the other hand, was laughing wildly. His blood-red hair fluttered in the air. He had an extremely arrogant smile on his face. The aura on his body was as sharp as a peerless divine sword. Let's fight. Today the 4 of you will die here. As soon as he finished speaking, a loud dragon roar rang out from his body. The 4 gigantic swords in the sky slashed down even faster. A gigantic black sword, which carried countless black flames, like the fire of hell, slashed toward Du Kong. A gigantic blue sword, which was releasing endless chilliness, froze the void wherever it passed. It quickly pierced toward Taoist Priest Mu. A purple-white lightning sword, which had an extremely violent aura, pierced through the void and swept toward Sky Snake's supremacy. The last gigantic sword, which was extremely simple, had a faint dragon shadow on it. It was as if a gigantic dragon had pierced through the void and slashed toward Safflower Grandma. In an instant, thunder roared and the wind howled. It was like a scene of destruction. Puff, puff, clang, clang. Ah! The fist shadow of Du Kong evaporated in an instant. Not only that, his entire body was cut in half by the black flame sword. His corpse was burned clean, leaving no trace behind. In the void, the gigantic flying snake shadow was pierced through by countless lightning bolts. It screamed and collapsed. Sky Snake's supremacy was scorched black. He spat out mouthfuls of blood and flew backward. The blue ice sword released endless power of ice, which instantly froze Taoist Priest Mu into an ice sculpture. Then it shattered into countless pieces. The last gigantic sword, which was in the shape of a dragon, emitted a killing intent that could pierce through heaven and earth. It went straight for Safflower Grandma. In an instant, Safflower Grandma was scared out of her wits. She bit her finger and dripped a drop of blood on the blue pagoda, frantically activating it. The blue pagoda enlarged like a huge blue mountain, enveloping her. Clang! An earth-shaking sound rang out. The entire void cracked. Safflower Grandma and the blue pagoda were both sent flying. The 4 gigantic swords fell. Du Kong and Mu Luoren died on the spot. Sky Snake Supremacy and Safflower Grandma were also seriously injured. If this matter were to spread, it would definitely cause a huge commotion in the entire Tianwu continent. For venerables in the middle stage of the 9th level fought Lin Xian, but the result was 2 dead and 2 injured. This was too unbelievable. No, this is impossible. How can you have such powerful combat strength? Chapter 1300. No, this is impossible. How can you have such powerful battle prowess? The surviving Sky Snake Supremacy and Red Flower Grandma went crazy in disbelief. Before they came, they were full of confidence and thought that their plan was flawless. They would definitely be able to eliminate Lin Xian. However, they did not expect the current situation. You're not human. You're a demon, a demon. They were indeed crazy. Even a late-stage 9th heaven supremacy would not be able to have such terrifying power. Stupid. Ignorant. Lin Xian spat. Then, he flicked out 2 void-shattering fingers, instantly piercing through Sky Snake Supremacy and Red Flower Grandma's heads. Plop. Plop. Their eyes widened. Before they fell, they were already dead. Even in death, they could not believe that they had been killed so easily. 4 top experts, 9 ninth heaven supremacies, and hundreds of elite cultivators had been completely annihilated. How terrifying was this young man before them? He could actually fight against the 8 great clans, and even kill countless experts. How old was he? He was only 20 years old. Yet he already had such battle prowess. Perhaps even the kings of the continent could not have such achievements back then. It's over. Lin Xian put away the Lone Star Sword and turned to walk outside. When he and the dark red dragon walked out of the villa behind them suddenly burned. Countless black flames swallowed the entire villa like demons. When Lin Xian disappeared in the sky, the entire Nanshan city was shaken. Actually, the experts in the city had already felt the violent energy earlier. However, that energy was too powerful, and they did not dare to go near for fear of being affected. When the force weakened, many experts nearby went to check it out. Then, they were all dumbfounded and stood rooted to the ground. There was a huge deep pit in front of them. It covered a radius of 100 miles, and was unfathomably deep. The originally majestic villa was gone. Not only the entire Nanshan city, but experts from the nearby cities also flew over. This was because the impact of the previous battle had spread very far. Ordinary cultivators were only shocked by the terrifying pit. However, those experts' eyes widened, and their scalps went numb. They knew that this was where the great clans gathered. Countless elites were gathered. However, at this moment, it was actually destroyed. This was definitely a huge matter, and the Duan clan would probably be incomparably furious. One had to know that the Duan clan's current situation was extremely bad. They were often assassinated, but now their secret location had actually been destroyed. Who did this? Killing so many people should be enough to exchange for a longevity pill, right? Many people were extremely excited when they heard the news. When this news reached the Duan clan, everyone in the Duan clan was shocked. They couldn't believe that so many elite martial artists and absolute experts couldn't kill a 7th level venerable. How is this possible? How is this possible? How could that brat survive? What was going on? Tell me. Young Master Ling Feng roared in anger. The martial artists under him were so frightened that they knelt on the ground, trembling. Young Master, we really don't know. The entire manor is suspected to have been leveled, and not a single trace was left behind. I'm guessing that brat must have brought a large number of 9th heaven venerables with him. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to destroy the entire manor. Yes, that must be it. We were careless this time. I didn't expect him to be so cautious. Trash, a bunch of trash. Young Master Ling Feng was so angry that he wanted to vomit blood. He had never suffered such a loss before. Send people to investigate. We must find out the brat's whereabouts. If you find out that he's alone, inform me immediately. He was really mad. If it wasn't for the fact that he couldn't find Lin Xian now, he would definitely bring the Duan clan's men and kill them immediately. Not only the Duan clan, but all the top forces and king clans of the Tianwu continent were shocked when they heard the news. Now the conflict between the Duan clan and Lin Xian was very intense. This was something that everyone knew. Originally, they didn't think highly of Lin Xian because the Duan clan was too powerful. But who would have thought that Lin Xian would use 5 longevity pills and cause the Duan clan to fall into an extremely passive situation? Bhutan was already like this. And now there was even news that Lin Xian had destroyed a secret base of the Duan family. This was simply too shocking. On the other side, after Lin Xian left Nanshan City, he didn't return to the Immortal Martial Academy immediately. Instead, he flew to a large forest nearby, because he wanted to get rid of the killing intent on his body. Previously, during the battle with the 8 great clans, Lin Xian used the blood-colored slaughter sword intent. He was like a god of death, abnormally fierce. The effect of that battle strength was very shocking. However, this killing intent was very fierce, and it would take some time to completely disperse. If he couldn't disperse this killing intent, it would probably affect Lin Xian's mind, and no one would be able to get close to him. In the vast forest, Lin Xian walked slowly. Everywhere he passed, countless trees and rocks were all broken. This wasn't done by Lin Xian at all. It was the effect of the killing intent on his body. Now martial artists below the 9th heavenly layer wouldn't even dare to get close to him. And Lin Xian used the great dragon sword spirit to maintain absolute clarity and avoid being affected by the killing intent. Gradually, the blood-colored light in his eyes disappeared. His blood-red hair also gradually returned to normal. The killing intent on his body was weakening bit by bit. 3 days later, Lin Xian returned to normal. It had to be said that the blood-colored killing intent was too terrifying. It was only because he had the great dragon sword spirit that he could maintain his clarity of mind at all times. Otherwise, if it was anyone else, they would have collapsed long ago. It was hard to imagine how the Blood Sword Monarch had maintained so much blood-colored killing intent back then. Thinking of this, Lin Xian sighed. It's nothing. Kings have their own domains. Thinking about it, the Blood Sword Monarch should have stored all the killing intent in his domain. That's why he could maintain absolute clarity of mind. The dark red dragon explained. A king's domain can be said to have endless magical uses, and is very mysterious. When you step into this realm in the future, you'll understand. King's domain? Lin Xian's eyes were filled with anticipation. However, his current cultivation was only at the 7th heavenly layer. He was still far from the king realm. Under normal circumstances, for a 7th heavenly layer venerable to cultivate to the king realm, even if he was a genius, it would probably take hundreds of years. Of course, this was the case if there was no fortuitous encounter. If there was a fortuitous encounter, it would allow one's cultivation to increase in a short period of time. However, this kind of fortuitous encounter couldn't be sought. Some people might not even encounter it in their entire lives. Lin Xian wouldn't place his hopes on such a faintly discernible fortuitous encounter. Although his cultivation was only at the 7th heavenly layer, his great dragon sword spirit had already reached the 8th heavenly layer. Moreover, it was at the peak. It wouldn't be long before it broke through to the 9th heavenly layer. Ruffian dragon, if my sword spirit breaks through to the king realm in advance, will I be able to condense a king's domain? Lin Xian asked. This Chapter 1301. Ruffian Dragon. If my sword soul breaks through to the king realm, will I be able to form a king's domain? Lin Xian asked. This. The dragon rubbed its chin and fell into deep thought. To be honest, Lin Xian's situation was quite special. His sword soul was actually able to surpass his cultivation. Theoretically, it should be possible. However, I don't know if you'll be able to control it. The dragon said. Can I? Lin Xian's heart trembled. If that was the case, then he would be a huge step away from the king realm. He only needed to find enough energy to awaken the great dragon sword soul. Once the king's domain was formed, Lin Xian believed that as long as he could control the great dragon sword soul, he would be able to control the king's domain. At that time, he would be able to control the king's domain. Just thinking about it made him excited. Let's go back to the Immortal Martial Academy. Lin Xian's figure flashed, and he turned into a ray of sword light that soared into the sky and disappeared into the horizon. Immortal Martial Academy, Starpoint Peak. This was Lin Xian's new residence. At this moment, the 9th Elder, 10th Elder, Yu Fei, and the others were waiting anxiously. What do you want me to say? How can you let the young lord go to such a dangerous place alone? The 9th Elder looked at Yu Fei and the others and shook his head. That's enough. These people can't control what the young lord wants to do. Don't scold them. The news has already spread. The young lord is fine, and the Duong clan's manor was completely destroyed. The 10th Elder persuaded. As for Yu Fei and the others, they were covered in cold sweat and didn't dare to speak. At this moment, a ray of sword light flashed in the sky and landed on the Starpoint Peak. Brother Xian, Yu Fei and the others were overjoyed. The 9th Elder and the 10th Elder also heaved a sigh of relief. Young Lord, you're finally back. Young Lord, if you didn't come back, the 9th Elder would have eaten all of them. The 10th Elder laughed. I'm sorry for making everyone worry. Lin Xian briefly explained the situation, but it still made everyone's heart palpitate. Oh right, 9th Elder, why did you go back a while ago? Could it be that something big has happened in the War God Palace? Lin Xian asked. The 9th Elder and the 10th Elder were core elders of the War God Palace. Previously, when the two of them returned together, it meant that something big had happened. That was why Lin Xian was so concerned. Young master, don't worry. Nothing big happened. The two of us went back to bring something for young master. The 9th Elder smiled. Take something? What is it? Lin Xian was even more curious. Naturally, these are the cultivation resources that the palace master left for you, Elder Jiu said as he took out a storage ring. The resources my father left for me? Lin Xian was very curious. He quickly took the ring and probed it with his soul force. He was stunned. This is too rich. Bottles of pills, piles of spirit fruits, cultivation techniques, weapons, and defensive equipment. This was simply a mini treasure trove. Lin Xian had only seen such rich resources in the remote sky mystery realm. He had never seen anything else other than that. 9th Elder, these are all for me? Lin Xian confirmed once again. To be honest, he had said that he had to rely on himself to obtain cultivation resources. He did not believe that he would suddenly obtain so many cultivation resources out of thin air, even though these resources were given to him by his father. Young master, don't worry. These are given to you by the palace master. Furthermore, this is only the first portion of the resources. When your strength increases, there will be more resources. There are more resources. So rich. Lin Xian was pleasantly surprised. However, the 9th Elder and the 10th Elder sighed. Young master, you have suffered all these years. The two of them felt very guilty, because these resources were nothing to the core disciples of the king family. However, as the son of the War God Palace Master, Lin Xian had never enjoyed such good resources. It had to be said that it was really hard to be confident. Don't worry, young master. The War God Palace will be your home in the future. The War God Palace will provide you with all the resources you need. Lin Xian asked and found out how extravagant the core disciples of the king family were. It was no wonder that those people's cultivations were so high, and their strength far exceeded that of others. The resources that they usually used were not something that ordinary warriors could imagine. Only Lin Xian had the great dragon sword soul, and many fortuitous encounters could compare to those people. Now that he had become the young master of the War God Palace, he would definitely not fall behind those core disciples of the king family in terms of resources. He probed and found that these resources were divided into 4 parts. The first part was pills that could be consumed by supremacies. Moreover, the effects were very good. The second part was a half-Earth rank artifact that contained an Earth rank artifact fragment. It was very powerful. The third part was a set of battle armor called the Starry Sky Battle Armor. The fourth part was various cultivation techniques and secret manuals that were suitable for supremacies. When your strength increases to half-step King Realm and King Realm, there will be more resources. The ninth elder explained. Lin Xian nodded, indicating that he understood. The first portion of the elixir resources was completely acceptable to him. As for the second portion, the treasured sword named Chongshan contained an Earth rank fragment treasure, which was indeed very powerful. However, Lin Xian probed and found that it was about the same as the Lone Star sword in his hand. However, the Lone Star sword was a nimble and speed-type sword, while the overlapped mountain sword was a powerful sword. It could be said that they both had their strengths. As for the third part of the Starry Sky Battle Armor, Lin Xian was a little confused. It was different from what he had imagined. It was not a ready-made battle armor, but a very small star-like stone. Elder, how do I use this? Lin Xian scratched his head with a puzzled expression. Young master, you just need to pour your blood into it. The ninth elder explained. This Starry Sky Battle Armor is very special. It comes from the mysterious Starry Sky Secret Realm. Unlike the battle armor on our continent, it needs to absorb a cultivator's blood before it can be unfolded. Moreover, this battle armor is very powerful. It can block 70% of any attack below the King Realm. 70%? Isn't that the same as the Red Lotus battle armor? Lin Xian was tempted. He quickly cut open his palm and placed the blue stone on the wound. Instantly, the stone started to absorb blood like a bottomless pit. Lin Xian was extremely shocked by the speed at which it absorbed blood. Fortunately, the ninth elder had warned him, so he didn't resist. After absorbing about a third of his blood, the stone stopped absorbing blood and quickly merged into Lin Xian's palm. In the next moment, Lin Xian could clearly sense that the blue stone in his palm was like his body. Starry Sky Battle Armor. Lin Xian bellowed, and a set of blue armor quickly appeared on the surface of his body, covering him in an instant. It covered him from head to toe, and only his eyes were exposed. The blue battle armor flickered like stars under the sunlight. After giving it a try, Lin Xian noticed that the Starry Sky Battle Armor was really able to block 70% of the damage. This made him extremely delighted. After all, the Red Lotus battle armor that he had just refined was also able to block 70% of the damage. Its effect was extraordinarily good. Chapter 1302. First of all, the universal armor was a complete set while the Red Lotus armor was only a single piece of armor. According to the blueprint of the Red Lotus armor, the entire Red Lotus armor should be able to withstand 90% of the damage. In other words, the Red Lotus armor's grade was even higher than the universal armor. However, The materials used to refine the Red Lotus armor were very precious, so Lin Xian was only halfway done. But now with the new star armor, it could make up for his lack of defense. With a thought, the star armor quickly disappeared and returned to his body. There was no trace of it on the outside. With another thought, the star armor appeared instantly. What a magical armor! Lin Xian smiled. The ninth elder said, "This armor is indeed magical. Not only is its defense strong, but it can also transform into any form. It's very precious." "Oh yeah, where is the Star Mystery Realm? Why haven't I heard of it?" Lin Xian asked. The ninth elder said slowly, "The Red Lotus Mystery Realm isn't on the Tianmu continent. Lin Xian was really shocked. It's hidden in the boundless starry sky that could block 90% of the damage. He didn't expect only martial artists by the Heaven's Legacy can enter. But if you can come out safely, this is just the tip of the iceberg of the Heaven's Legacy race. When you become stronger, that means the other terrifying the Heaven's Legacy race star armor? Let me put it this way. The king clans all have this kind of star armor, right? But there won't be too many, and the others usually there won't be more than 10 pieces. Of course. Does the Duan clan have it? They are the pinnacle of existence on this before continent. The Duan clan rebelled. However, they once the Heaven's Legacy race once created a puppet young master that can easily tear a king apart. One is with Wu Zun, the dark red divine dragon revealed an explosive piece of news, the ninth elder explained. This time, everyone was dumbfounded. I didn't expect young master Ling tear apart to have such an armor. No matter how they heard it, he'll have to put in more effort to kill him. The dark red divine dragon snorted. You don't have to make such a fuss. Are you planning to attack the Heaven's Legacy race? Is far more powerful than you can imagine. Lin Xian nodded. The mysteries of this world far surpass your understanding. He schemed against me this time. Cultivate well, so I have to pay him back. When you leave this continent, we must discuss the plan carefully. We must kill him in one go. Young master, now that you mention it, if there's anything you need, even I am tempted. Just let us know. Lin Xian clenched his fist. The ninth and 10th elders said even the ninth elder and the others were shocked. If I need your help, because they had only seen some legends in ancient books, said with a smile. They knew far less than the dark red divine dragon. Divine dragon everyone also discussed came out for a while before when he saw the galaxy armor on Lin Xian's body. At the fourth he treasure. Immediately exclaimed, "It was the cultivation technique. Where did you get your armor from?" Lin Xian looked at them. What do you found think? That they were roughly divided into two categories. Lin Xian laughed. One was for cultivation. Your father gave it to you, and the other was about the history and knowledge of the continent. Do you know that this martial battle armor made by the Heaven's Legacy race was divided into physical and spiritual? What is that? The ninth elder said. Lin Xian was according to the palace even master. The ninth and 10th when a martial artist cultivates, they had never heard of the Heaven's Legacy separated. Thus, he has to cultivate Lin Xian both. Told him everything he even heard about the wooden bucket principle. Which states that a cultivator's strength is determined by his weakest aspect. That should be a secret realm left behind both by the heavens and the soul must be cultivated. Brat, even if you can't specialize in them, to obtain the difference can't be too made by the Heaven's Legacy race. Hearing this, Lin Xian nodded. The Crimson Divine Dragon exclaimed. The closer he got to Heaven's Legacy race, the more he felt the importance of these two aspects. Is it very powerful? Of course it is. There were a total of 2 cultivation Legacy race is a very mysterious race that specializes in all kinds of manufacturing, and the other was the Furious Dragon very famous in the ancient times. These two cultivation techniques had reached the level of earth-rank martial art. Very few people have seen them. They were extremely rare. Some of their products have been passed down in the world. Lin Xian had seen the galaxy armor you're wearing is one of them, but most of them were fist techniques, it's a relatively low-level one. Saber techniques, and other martial arts with extremely strong attack power. Of course, very few of them cultivated the martial artist's 70% of the damage techniques. You have the Red Lotus finally had such a cultivation technique. Should also be from the Heaven's Legacy race. If a martial artist wanted to unleash extremely strong combat power, he had to be strong first. Only then could he withstand that kind of powerful explosion. In the following days, Lin Xian began to cultivate on Point Star Peak. He did not directly cultivate the Sky Spill visualization art and the Furious Dragon art. Instead, he first looked through the basic martial arts knowledge, Chapter 1303. Originally, Lin Xian was just curious and wanted to see what kind of knowledge there was. But after reading it, he was extremely shocked and felt that his worldview had been overturned. It turned out that some of his previous understandings were not comprehensive and even wrong. Some of the sayings in these books opened his eyes. In the past, because of the existence of the great dragon sword spirit, Wine Lord, and the others, Lin Xian knew that this world was more magical than he imagined, and that he had a long way to go. But now, after understanding this knowledge, he finally knew why those people were so strong. The strength of a martial artist was one thing, but how much of it they could unleash was different. For example, for people of the same realm, some could unleash 10,000 pounds of strength, but some could only unleash 5,000 pounds of strength. There were even some who could unleash 12,000 pounds of strength. There was a huge gap between them. There were many factors that influenced it, such as one's own conditions, martial techniques, and experience. Take cultivation techniques. For example, yellow grade and black grade cultivation techniques were too crude and could only unleash a portion of a martial artist's strength. Only when it reached spirit grade cultivation techniques could it unleash a martial artist's full strength. But that was all he could do. Earth grade cultivation techniques that were above spirit grade could unleash strength that exceeded the martial artist's own strength. For example, early stage earth grade cultivation techniques could unleash strength that exceeded a martial artist by 3 to 5 times. If it was a martial artist with 10,000 pounds of strength, after unleashing an earth grade cultivation technique, it was very likely that he could unleash 50,000 pounds of strength. This was a difference of 5 times, far surpassing people of the same realm. Just like when Lin Xian unleashed the Gale Lightning Sword technique previously, he directly killed 4 Ninth Heaven Venerables, who were far stronger than him. It was estimated that the strength he unleashed at that time was more than 5 times. Not only that, martial techniques and treasured weapons could also be stacked. If a martial artist had an earth-grade martial technique and a high-grade treasured weapon, it was not a problem to unleash more than 10 times the strength. Of course, the prerequisite for all of this was that one had to be strong. Otherwise, it would be like a baby holding a treasure sword and a peerless expert holding a stone. The result was obvious. As for soul power, it was roughly divided into 2 types. One was object control, mainly used to engrave inscriptions and control objects. The other was illusion, which used soul power to directly attack. Both of them had their own characteristics. For now, Lin Xian was walking on the first path of inscription. For example, Zhao Shui's Void Sky Eyes clearly walked the path of the second type of illusion, directly using soul attacks. Lin Xian currently did not have any thoughts of using illusions to attack, but his great dragon sword soul had both physical attacks and the ability to cut through illusions. Therefore, he was not afraid of being attacked by illusions. After understanding everything, Lin Xian began to cultivate the Tianyin visualization art. This was a way to train one's soul power. There were a total of 9 diagrams, and each diagram was a unique pattern. The further one went, the more complicated it became. What Lin Xian needed to do was to use his soul force to quickly draw out the diagrams. If he could complete it within the time limit, it would be considered a success. Then, he would be able to cultivate the next diagram. Don't underestimate these diagrams. The first one had over 10,000 diagrams, densely packed together. Ordinary martial artists would feel dizzy just by looking at them. With Lin Xian's current soul power, he could easily complete the first 3 diagrams. However, he failed to complete the 4th diagram. This aroused his fighting spirit even more, so he had been cultivating the 4th diagram these days. In addition, he also cultivated a cultivation method that strengthened his blood qi, the Furious Dragon Art. This was a cultivation method that increased a martial artist's blood qi and strengthened their physique. The body was a martial artist's capital. Only with a strong body could one withstand the doubled attack power. Otherwise, even if one had a powerful martial skill, they would not be able to use it. The Furious Dragon Art was the best cultivation method to build a martial artist's body. The Furious Dragon Art had a total of 5 levels. Each level could withstand a 5-fold increase in attack power, and it could be stacked. In other words, when he reached the 5th level, Lin Xian could withstand a 25x increase in attack power. 25x. This was an unimaginable number. If he mastered it, he would be invincible in the supremacy realm. For these two cultivation methods, Lin Xian even prepared different pills to assist in cultivation. It could be said that he had thought it through very well. Time flew, and in the blink of an eye, a month had passed. A month later, Lin Xian broke through. First, his great dragon sword soul broke through to the 9th level of the supremacy realm. His cultivation had also reached the 8th level of the supremacy realm. Secondly, he had already mastered the 4th diagram of the Heavens Rise visualization diagram. And his soul power had also greatly improved. He had also cultivated the Furious Dragon art to the 2nd level. It could be said that Lin Xian's strength had undergone a tremendous change. Now, he did not need to use an earth-rank martial art to easily kill an early-stage 9th level supremacy. Even a mid-stage 9th level supremacy was not his match. He could even contend with a late-stage 9th level supremacy now. In addition, he had the Starry Sky armor and the Red Lotus armor. The combination of the two could definitely offset 80% of any attack. At that time, even a late-stage 9th level supremacy would not be his match. This time, he had taken another big step towards the King realm. Young Master, you've broken through. The 9th Elder and the others were very excited. They could feel a sense of fear from Lin Xian's body. After learning of this situation, the 9th Elder and the 10th Elder both gasped. How long had it been? The young master's strength had already surpassed them. This was something they did not dare to imagine. This was not completely the effect of resources. Even if the core disciples of the King clans were given such resources, they would not be able to improve to such an extent in a short month. Talent. This was definitely talent. Lin Xian's heaven-defying cultivation talent was something that the 9th Elder and the others had rarely seen in their lives. Perhaps even the kings of the Tianwu continent could not reach such a level when they were young. This kind of talent is too powerful. The 9th Elder praised. The 10th Elder also nodded in satisfaction. Yes, whether it is temperament, talent, or perseverance, they are all top-notch. I'm afraid there are very few people in the continent who can be compared to the young master. What young master Ling Feng, what Tianwu 4 young masters? They are just older. If they were the same age as the young master, I'm afraid they would not be the young master's match. The 9th Elder coldly snorted. After hearing this, Lin Xian smiled faintly. He did not care about the title of Tianwu 4 young masters at all. This was because his eyes had already moved away from the same generation. His target were the older generation figures, the kings who stood at the peak. Only those people could arouse his battle intent. However, there was one thing that he had to do. How is the Duan clan recently? At this time, it was time for Yu Fei to stand out. Reporting to Brother Xian, the Duan clan is already in a terrible state. Many of their core elders have been killed. Moreover, half a month ago, a half-step king gathered the heads of 3 core elders and exchanged them for a longevity pill. Oh, someone exchanged for it? Was it that half-step king from the auction? Yes, it was him. Chapter 1304. Half a month ago, a half-step king collected the heads of 3 core elders and exchanged them for a longevity pill. Yufei reported. Oh, someone exchanged for it? Was it that half-step king from the auction? Lin Xian asked. Yes, it was him. Is there any other news? Lin Xian asked again. Yes, although the Duan clan suffered heavy losses, it wasn't enough to topple them. Moreover, Prince Ling Feng and the martial saint were also attacked twice, but they both failed. There was even a half-step king who died in the hands of the martial saint. Hearing this news, Lin Xian was also greatly astonished. Half-step king was in existence that surpassed the martial saint realm. It was extremely terrifying. Sword saint was also a half-step king when he was at his peak. However, such a ferocious person actually failed in his assassination. Not only that, he was even killed by the martial saint. Just how powerful is this martial saint? Lin Xian sucked in a breath of air, and a trace of seriousness appeared in his eyes. Obviously, the martial saint's strength was out of his expectations. However, thinking about it, since the other party dared to use the title of martial saint, it meant that he was extremely powerful. Young master, the martial saint is indeed difficult to deal with. Although he is only in the martial saint realm, his battle strength has already surpassed some half-step kings. It can be said that he is extremely powerful. As expected of the Duan clan, a martial saint had surpassed the half-step king realm, and there was an even more terrifying Duan clan leader above him. It could be assumed that the martial saint wasn't far from the true martial saint realm. No wonder the other party was so ambitious and wanted to seize the palace of war, while Lin Zhan was in seclusion. If it weren't for Lin Xian, the other party might have already succeeded. Don't worry, I know what I'm doing. I won't touch the martial saint right now. However, I won't let that Ling Feng guy go. It's time to settle some things. A trace of coldness appeared in Lin Xian's eyes. Young master, you want to make a move on Prince Ling Feng? Hearing this, the eyelids of the 9th elder and the others twitched. They couldn't help but be shocked. Although Lin Xian's strength had increased greatly, Prince Ling Feng wasn't an ordinary person. He was one of the 4 peak experts of the younger generation. Furthermore, Sir Ling Feng had the advantage of his age. Therefore, he was much stronger than Lin Xian. Not only that, but he also had countless experts around him. It would be extremely difficult to kill him. Not long ago, there was a half-step king warrior who tried to assassinate young master Ling Feng but failed. One could imagine how difficult it would be to assassinate young noble Ling Feng. But now Lin Xian actually said that he wanted to touch young master Ling Feng. Young master, please reconsider. Although that young master Ling Feng deserves to die, now is not the time to make a move on him. 9th elder shook his head. The 10th elder also advised. That's right, young master. Why don't you wait until you've reached the 9th heavenly layer before making a move? However, Lin Xian shook his head slightly. The Duan clan is powerful. Although they are being suppressed now, it won't be long before they recover from their shock. At that time, it will be too late to make a move. Taking advantage of their current situation, we should make a move decisively. At least, we should get rid of that young master Ling Feng first. Speaking up to here, Lin Xian's lips curled into a smile. Moreover, I don't plan to fight him head-on. I have my own methods. Young master, if you have any methods, just tell us. If it's feasible, we will agree. But if the success rate isn't high, us old men won't let you take the risk. 9th elder and 10th elder spoke in unison. Indeed, Lin Xian had a noble status. He was their young master and their hope. They wouldn't allow any danger to befall Lin Xian. Lin Xian seemed very confident. He slowly said, "We can set up a trap and make him come out of the Duan clan. Just like how he set me up, we can do the same to him." Hearing this, 9th elder and 10th elder were puzzled. Although that's the case, how can we lure him out? The Duan clan is in a bad situation now. With his vigilance, he probably won't come out. Lin Xian smiled. I just destroyed one of his secret bases. He must want to kill me now. If I report my whereabouts to him, he will definitely bring people here. No, it's too dangerous. Elders, I'm not done yet. Why don't you listen to me and make a decision? Lin Xian continued. Last time he sent Skynet to kill me, and I controlled a person named Falcon. This assassin's cultivation is at the 8th heaven of the venerable realm. Although he's not the top, he should be considered an upper echelon of Skynet. I want to use him to lure out the leader of Skynet. As long as he comes out, I'm confident that I can control him. How about this? I'll use the leader of Skynet as a spy to send a message to young Master Ling Feng. I'm sure he won't suspect anything. As long as we set up an inescapable net and a killing formation, we'll definitely be able to kill him. Hearing Lin Xian's words, Ninth Elder and the others were shocked. What? Young Master, you've also controlled Skynet? They were too shocked. Skynet was an extremely powerful assassin organization in the Blood Realm. Their actions were extremely strange. Moreover, even if they failed, they would self-destruct and no one would be caught. But now Lin Xian had actually controlled one of their people. This was too shocking. If that's really the case, then this matter might not be impossible. Ninth Elder nodded in agreement. This was indeed a good opportunity to kill young Master Ling Feng. Although young Master Ling Feng was only of the younger generation, he was a symbol of the Duan clan. Moreover, he was the most famous person in the Tianwu continent. If he was killed, the Duan clan would definitely suffer an unimaginable loss. This was also what Ninth Elder and the others wanted to see, so they were tempted. However, 10th Elder frowned and said, although that's the case, we're not strong enough to kill everyone in the Duan clan. At most, we'll be able to tie. Don't worry about that. With Ruffian Long here, we can definitely set up a peerless killing formation. Lin Xian smiled. Don't worry, leave it to me. I'll definitely kill them. As long as it's not a king, there won't be any problems. Crimson Divine Dragon was very confident. If he was given time to set up a killing formation, he was even confident that he could kill a half-step king. Ninth Elder and the others also knew a little about Crimson Divine Dragon's origin. Now that he had spoken so confidently, they immediately let go of their worries. Young Master, what do you need us to do? Lin Xian pondered for a moment. Crimson Divine Dragon said, I want to set up a killing formation, and I need some special materials. I'll make a list, and you guys should quickly find them. Indeed, this wasn't an ordinary formation. It was a killing formation that could kill half-step kings, and it needed special materials to set it up. Crimson Divine Dragon waved his claws, and quickly made a list. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.